Your seats. Thank you so much. Hello, everyone. Good morning and welcome to the Bangalore International Centre. BIC, established in 2005, is a privately enabled public purpose institution. Hi, everyone. Can I please have your attention? Kindly hold your discussions until after the session. Thank you so much. Okay. BIC, established in 2005, is a privately enabled public purpose institution for informed conversations, exchange of ideas, arts, and culture. Today is the third edition of the Bengaluru Debates presented by Janaagraha in collaboration with BIC. The Janaagraha Centre for Citizenship and Democracy, founded in 2001 in Bengaluru, is dedicated to transforming the quality of life in India's cities and towns. Their mission is to strengthen the systems of urban governance so that cities can deliver clean, green, safe, and livable environments for all citizens. We started the first edition of the series in October of last year around the question, can the Greater Bengaluru Governance Act deliver for Bengaluru? And we had the second session in January that covered the question, does Bengaluru offer a healthy life to our citizens? Today, the discussion will revolve around the question, can radical transparency transform Bengaluru? And it asks whether radical transparency on budgets, spending, and outcomes can rebalance accountability and reshape how the city is governed. Before we get into the serious aspects of today's session, I'd like to invite Nandakeshwari R., a fellow from the second cohort of Women in Public Finance Fellowship at Janaagraha, to start us off with an interactive quiz.
Good morning, everyone. I'm excited to be here. Today, I'm going to be your quiz master. Here is how it's going to go. It's an open book quiz. You all have the small booklets. So I will show 5 questions. It will be timed. I'll give 1 minute for one question. You can all scan the QR code that will come in the screen in a minute. And then you can start responding to the answers. That works? Yes? Okay. Yes. So please scan the QR code. So I'm starting the timer for the first question. You can look at the book or you can answer on your own as well. So here, you can start responding to the first question. It's not opening. It's working? Okay, Then I think we can do show of hands. Okay, yeah, please. Thank you. Yeah, that's a quick response, and thank you for that. Yeah, so BDA works on the land development. BWSSB, like you pointed out correctly, works on water supply and sewerage. And I think you mentioned BESCO. Yeah, that works on power supply. Thank you for that. We'll move on to the next question. Thank you. Some responses are coming as well. It's good to see overwhelming responses. Thank you. I moved on to the next question. Which civic organization is estimated to be the top spending public authority in Bengaluru in financial year 21-22? You can answer online also, or yes, please. So I hear BBMP. BESCOM, yes. BESCOM was the top spending authority, and second is the BBMP. Yeah, and then third top spending authority is BWSSB. Let's see the online responses as well. Okay, thank you for that. Yes. Third question, which government portal hosts financial statements? By financial statements, I mean budget, audited annual accounts of the urban local governments. Please responding, or you want to show of hands also? I'll wait for 1 minute and then take audience answers. Yeah, I think that was straightforward. Thank you for that. Cityfinance.in is the correct answer. Cityfinance.in is the portal conceived and managed by Janaagraha for Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs, Government of India. It hosts over 16,000 financial statements for all the urban local governments pan-India. Thank you. That was really good response. Okay. Next question. Which institution is more transparent in disclosing their project level data? Is it urban local governments or rural local governments? Wow, unanimous. Thank you. Okay, last question. Which of the following organizations spend on roads in the city? You can select multiple options. Anybody wants to answer? Yes? Yes, that is correct. We have overlapping functions. Like this, we have multiple organizations in Bengaluru working on the same function. Citizens, as citizens, we don't know who to ask the questions. If we see the potholes, we really don't know which organization should be questioned. So thank you for such a overwhelming responses. Yeah, so I think any of the answers can be correct. All is also correct. So I hope I have raised more questions than answers. The rest of the sessions will help to unravel some of the questions you have in your mind. Thank you.
Okay. As you've probably read, experts estimate that over 38,000 crore was spent on the city in 2021-22. However, no single consolidated view of that expenditure exists. To set context for today's discussion, I invite Merin Sunny, Senior Associate, Public Finance Management at Janaagraha, for today's opening presentation.
Good morning all. Namaskara. Don't be fooled by the stack of papers. I'll be simple and brief. So for the past 3 months, we've been conducting a study to understand what is the transparency in public spending in Bengaluru. And you all might have gotten the booklet, which has our detailed findings and report. So for the next 10 minutes, I will be running you through the quick summary of these findings. So we estimated that, like Sandhya said, 38,455 crore was spent in Bangalore in 1 year, which is 2021-2022. This number does not exist anywhere officially. There is no single report, no dashboard, or no consolidated source that tell us this number. So nobody has the full picture of public spending in Bengaluru, not even GBA or the Urban Ministry. Let me explain why. So if you look at the right-hand figure, these are the authorities that we have accounted for to arrive at the total spending. Now for this, the figure had to be compiled from 70 plus financial document across 11 authorities. And for these authorities, majority of them, the latest data was not available. 10 out of 13 parastatals, we did not have budgets for 2025, 2026. And 7 out of 13 did not have financial statement, which is also annual accounts for the latest year. Now, if you look at the figure, you will see that there is BBMP, which is the city government. Then there are BDA, BESCOM, BWSSB, BMRCL, SCL, BMRDA, BMTC, which are the city-level parastatals. Now, parastatals are government-owned agencies that run services in cities. And then there are state-level parastatals also, which spend their money in Bengaluru, which is KRDCL and KRIDE. Now, you can also see Bangalore Police, which is one of which is under State Department. So there are 3 types of authorities that majorly spend in city. That is city government. There are parastatal, which is city and state level, and there are state government departments. So once we have consolidated the public spending, the next question was, who spends the most? As some of you have rightly got it, BESCOM was the largest spending parastatal. But let me bring your attention to the larger pattern, that only 20% of the public spending in Bengaluru is by the city government. The remaining 80% is by parastatals and state departments. ULGs, through their elected council, are directly accountable to citizens of the city, but parastatals and state departments are not. Now, let me explain what you're seeing here. So on the rows are each public authorities, and then the boxes denote key financial documents, which is budget, annual report, and annual account. The green denotes availability during the year, and red denotes not available, and gray denotes not applicable. So if you take a quick look at it, you will see that only BBMP and BDA are the ones who have consistently published their financial document, while BESCOM is one of the highest spenders. They have not published a budget consistently over the years. You can also see that KRIDE, KRDCL are all faring poorly in the transparency metrics. So across these public authorities, only about 1/3 of the expected financial information is available. Now, that is what the 34 means. Now, you can see the lack of accountability of parastatals through the lack of poor transparency. Now, let's see if is it a compliance issue or is it an issue of design? Only 3 out of 12 parastatals are mandated to publish financial statements under their respective laws. The rest 7 are governed, are constituted under the Companies Act and are not mandated to publicly disclose their financial statements or documents since they are unlisted. Now, the institutions spending most of Bengaluru's public money are not bound by the same transparency standard as its municipal corporation. So, if you look at the right side, you can see the table which shows the key disclosures that are under the GBG Act 2024. So, municipal corporations are mandated to publish budgets, annual accounts, annual reports, and key performance indicators and the outcomes that are linked to it, and register of contact and building approvals to show transparency in financial operations and ward level budget. Now, if they comply with this is something that we have to wait and see. But if you look at the red part, which is for the disclosure mandates for the parastatal, you see that 5 out of 7 is a no, and 2 are limited. And by limited, what we mean is that they are not mandated to disclose these information to the public. They are mandated to show it to the government, to the GBA. Now, how do we change the status quo? So we propose 3 fixes. 1, every public authority spending in Bangalore must disclose budget, audited annual accounts, and annual reports within predetermined timelines. Second, citizens should be able to see a single dashboard for all public expenditure, at least on a quarterly basis. Third, citizens should be able to see real-time data up to date on projects at street and neighborhood level throughout the project cycle from tendering to quality certification. Now, I end it here. Thank you.
Thank you. Now on to today's discussion. I'd like to invite and introduce the speakers for today briefly, if you could come up. Firstly, we have Ms. Meera K, the co-founder and trustee of Urvani Foundation, a non-profit focused on strengthening civic engagement and urban communities. We have Mr. Padmanabha Reddy, a four-term councillor representing Ward number 29, Kacharakarnahalli, and served as the leader of opposition in the BBMP from 2015 to 2019. We have Mr. Abdul Wajid, who is the president of the District Congress Committee, DCC, Bengaluru North, and a former councillor representing Ward 33 in the BBMP. And to ask all the tough questions today, we have Mr. Shrikant Vishwanathan, the Chief Executive Officer of Janaagraha Center for Citizenship and Democracy. May I please invite all 4 of our speakers up.
Good morning, everybody. Can you hear me? Yeah. Thank you so much, Sandhya, Merin, Nandikeshwari, and thank you to each one of you for turning up on a Saturday morning for this conversation. For those of you who have attended the last 2 editions, you may already be aware, but for the sake of good order, just repeating the purpose of the Bangalore Debates, the idea is to expand, enhance, and enrich the civic space in the city, and to ensure that we are systematically able to strengthen the trust levels between citizens and governments, but also different segments, particularly the political system and the administrative system. So the idea is to see whether we can bring them on a platform and have a dialogue to demystify the happenings in the city, and to see how we can spur collective action towards improvement. You would know that that introduction was somewhat benign. We know that the city is stuck in a status quo. So a reality check is that the more time goes by, it almost appears that you're standing still or the city is somewhat moving backwards. Yes, there is movement with the Greater Bangalore Authority, somewhat modeled on the GLA, at least in terms of the name. We have with us also Mr. Rajiv Gowda, who chaired that committee, who was a member of the Brand Bangalore Committee, which resulted in the Greater Bangalore Governance Act. So that in some ways presents a moment of reckoning for the city. It gives an opportunity for a reset. Whether you disagree with that conception or you agree with the conception, and we have people here who are present on both sides of the aisle. Even as we await elections for the new municipal corporations, my own personal view is that while it did present a ray of hope, it looks like the control of the state government on the city is near total at this point, and there is nothing to really indicate that the individual municipal corporations, even post-elections, are going to live up to the promise of decentralization. So the question we have today for the debate is, can it be that in our larger cities, where the political economy is so hard and where the status quo is so tough to break, Bangalore is an example, but the same is true of other cities where land prices are high, where you have different competing interests within political parties, and there is real estate driving growth in the city, land prices and so on, and perhaps even rent seeking, etc. So can transparency be an important catalyst to set in motion a virtuous cycle of change? Many of us work in our neighborhood communities, work at the city level. Some of us litigate, some of us work on governance reforms and so on. Some of us work with government, some others work with business and civil society. We know that there are a variety of things that need to be done across planning, transport, waste management, and so on. But really, the progress we are making across each of these is frustratingly slow. So the question we are asking today is, can radical transparency be a catalyst for faster traction by really distributing leadership, by distributing civic action, and strengthening the hands of citizens with whatever information they can use to then hold the system accountable? That really is a question today. Before we plunge straight into the debate, we have with us two very interesting people, Mr. Padmanabha Reddy and Mr. Abdul Wajid. You may think that they are two former councillors and therefore they're run of the mill, but both of them are very deeply involved in the debate around the GBA. And I won't really steal their thunder. I'll start with Mr. Padmanabha Reddy. My request is just to spend 3 to 5 minutes calling out your view on the GBA and the 5 MCs, also your involvement, either for or against the debate. What is the action that you're taking around it? And if you can keep it to 3 to 5 minutes, then we can get into the transparency debate. We'll begin with you, Mr. Reddy, and then we'll come to you, Mr. Wajid. Please tell us your view on this and what has been your role, either for GBA, against GBA, etc. You can use this one.
ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ. ಗ್ರೇಟರ್ ಬೆಂಗಳೂರು ಅಥಾರಿಟಿ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಮಾತಾಡೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಮುಂಚೆ ನಾನು ಇವತ್ತು ಒಂದು ಪೊಲಿಟಿಷಿಯನ್ ಆಗಿ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾತಾಡೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಇಷ್ಟಪಡಲ್ಲ. ಬೆಂಗಳೂರಿನ ಜವಾಬ್ದಾರಿಯುತ ನಾಗರಿಕನಾಗಿ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾತಾಡೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಇಷ್ಟಪಡ್ತೀನಿ. ಅದು ಕೆಲವರಿಗೆ ಇಷ್ಟ ಆಗ್ಬೋದು, ಕೆಲವರಿಗೆ ಇಷ್ಟ ಆಗದಿರ ಇರ್ಬೋದು. ಸ್ನೇಹಿತರು ಹೇಳಿದಾಗೆ ಗ್ರೇಟರ್ ಬೆಂಗಳೂರು ಅಥಾರಿಟಿ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆನ ಎತ್ತಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ನಾನಂತೂ ಹೇಳಕ್ ಇಚ್ಛೆ ಪಡ್ತೀನಿ, ಗ್ರೇಟರ್ ಬೆಂಗಳೂರು ಅಥಾರಿಟಿ ಪ್ರಜಾಪ್ರಭುತ್ವದ ಕಗ್ಗೋಲೆ ಅಂದ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ನಾನು ಹೇಳಕ್ ಇಚ್ಛೆ ಪಡ್ತೀನಿ. ಒಂದು 3 ಜನ ಅಧಿಕಾರಿಗಳು ನೇತೃತ್ವದ ಒಂದು ಸಮಿತಿ, ರಿಟೈರ್ಡ್ IAS ಆಫೀಸರ್ಸು ಮತ್ತೆ ಒಬ್ಬ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪರ್ಟ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟಂತ ವರದಿ ಆಧಾರದ ಮೇಲೆ ಗ್ರೇಟರ್ ಲಂಡನ್ ಅಥಾರಿಟಿಯ ಕಟ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಪೇಸ್ಟ್ ಗ್ರೇಟರ್ ಬೆಂಗಳೂರು ಅಥಾರಿಟಿ ಅಂದ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ನಾನಂತೂ ಹೇಳಕ್ ಇಚ್ಛೆ ಪಡ್ತೀನಿ. ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಗ್ರೇಟರ್ ಲಂಡನ್ ಅಥಾರಿಟಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಮೇಯರ್ಗೆ ಅಧಿಕಾರ, ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಚೀಫ್ ಮಿನಿಸ್ಟರ್, ಡೆಪ್ಟಿ ಚೀಫ್ ಮಿನಿಸ್ಟರ್ಗೆ ಅಧಿಕಾರ. ಇದು ಲೋಕಲ್ ಸೆಲ್ಫ್ ಗವರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ಗೆ ವಿರುದ್ಧವಾಗಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥದ್ದು ಅಂದ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ನಾನು ಹೇಳಕ್ ಇಚ್ಛೆ ಪಡ್ತೀನಿ. ಈಗ ಗ್ರೇಟರ್ ಬೆಂಗಳೂರು ಅಥಾರಿಟಿ ಕಾನೂನು ಪ್ರಕಾರ ಇಲ್ಲ ಅಂದ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಚರ್ಚೆ ನಡೀತಾ ಇದೆ. ಹೈಕೋರ್ಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕೇಸ್ ಪೆಂಡಿಂಗ್ ಇದೆ, ಅದೊಂದು ಕಡೆ. ಆದ್ರೆ ಗ್ರೇಟರ್ ಬೆಂಗಳೂರು ಅಥಾರಿಟಿ ಜಾರಿ ಆಗಿದೆ. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಬಹುತೇಕ ಜನ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಕುಳಿತಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥವ್ರು ಒಂದಲ್ಲ ಒಂದು ವಿಧದಲ್ಲಿ ಬೆಂಗಳೂರಿನ ಅಭಿವೃದ್ಧಿಗೆ ಹೋರಾಟ ಮಾಡತಕ್ಕಂಥ ವ್ಯಕ್ತಿಗಳೇ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಜನ ಕಾಣಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ವಿಶೇಷವಾಗಿ ಜನಾಗ್ರಹ 2001ರಿಂದ ಬೆಂಗಳೂರಿನ ಒಂದು ಆಡಳಿತದ ಬಗ್ಗೆ, ಬಜೆಟ್ ಬಗ್ಗೆ, ಎಲ್ಲಾ ವಿಧದಲ್ಲಿ ಜನಾಗ್ರಹ ಸಂಸ್ಥೆ ಶ್ರಮಿಸ್ತಾ ಬರ್ತಾ ಇರೋದು ನಾನು ನೋಡ್ತಾ ಬರ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ. ಇವತ್ತು ಗ್ರೇಟರ್ ಬೆಂಗಳೂರು ಅಥಾರಿಟಿ ಜಾರಿ ಆಗಿದೆ. ಅದು ಹೈಕೋರ್ಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕೇಸ್ ಇದೆ, ಅದು ಮುಂದೆ ನೋಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋಣ. ಇವತ್ತು ಮುಖ್ಯಮಂತ್ರಿ ಮತ್ತು ಉಪಮುಖ್ಯಮಂತ್ರಿಗಳ ನೇತೃತ್ವದಲ್ಲಿ ಗ್ರೇಟರ್ ಬೆಂಗಳೂರು ಅಥಾರಿಟಿ ಜಾರಿ ಆದ್ಮೇಲೆ ಬೆಂಗಳೂರಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾವ ರಸ್ತೆಯಲ್ಲೂ ಸಹ ಪಾಟ್ಹೋಲ್ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಬೆಂಗಳೂರಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಎಲ್ಲೂ ಬ್ಲಾಕ್ ಸ್ಪಾಟ್ಗಳಿಲ್ಲ, ಕಸ ನಿರ್ವಹಣೆ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. ಬೆಂಗಳೂರಲ್ಲಿ 24 hours ಮನೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಟ್ಯಾಪ್ ಓಪನ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ವಾಟರ್ ಯಾವಾಗ ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಬರ್ತದೆ. ಬೆಂಗಳೂರಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಎಲ್ಲೂ ಟ್ರಾಫಿಕ್ ಸಮಸ್ಯೆ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಇದು ಅವರು ಹೇಳಿದ್ದು ಗ್ರೇಟರ್ ಬೆಂಗಳೂರು ಅಥಾರಿಟಿ ಜಾರಿ ಆಗ್ಬೇಕಾಗಿದ್ರೆ ಇದು ಬರೀ ಪಾಲಿಕೆ ಮಾತ್ರ ಆಗಲ್ಲ, ಕೋಆರ್ಡಿನೇಷನ್ ಇರಲ್ಲ. ಎಲ್ಲಾ ಇಲಾಖೆಗಳನ್ನ ಸೇರಿಸಿ ಪ್ಯಾರಾಸೆಟಲ್ ಬಾಡೀಸ್ ಏನು BDA ಇರ್ಬೋದು, BMRC ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇರ್ಬೋದು, ವಾಟರ್ ಬೋರ್ಡ್ ಇರ್ಬೋದು, ಎಲ್ಲ ಪೊಲೀಸ್ ಇರ್ಬೋದು, ಟ್ರಾಫಿಕ್ ಇರ್ಬೋದು, ಎಲ್ಲರನ್ನೂ ಸೇರಿಸಿ ಇದನ್ನ ಒಂದು ಕೋಆರ್ಡಿನೇಷನ್ ತರ ಒಂದು ಕಮಿಟಿ ಇದೆ ಅನ್ನೋ ರೀತಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. ಆದ್ರೆ GBG ಆಕ್ಟ್ ಒಳಗಡೆ ಹೋದಾಗ ಅದು ಕೋಆರ್ಡಿನೇಷನ್ ಅಲ್ಲ, ಪವರ್ ಗ್ರಾಬಿಂಗ್. ಪವರ್ ನ ಅರ್ಬನ್ ಲೋಕಲ್ ಬಾಡಿ ಏನು 74th ಅಮೆಂಡ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಪ್ರಕಾರ ಲೋಕಲ್ ಸೆಲ್ಫ್ ಗವರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ಗೆ ಇರ್ಬೇಕಂತ ಅಧಿಕಾರವನ್ನ ಅವ್ರು ತಗೊಂಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಇದು ಎಷ್ಟು ಸರಿ ಅಂದ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ನಾನು ಹೇಳಕ್ ಇಚ್ಛೆ ಪಡ್ತೀನಿ. ಇನ್ನೂ ಒಂದು ಹೆಜ್ಜೆ ಮುಂದೆ ಹೋಗಿ ನಾನು ಹೇಳೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಇಚ್ಛೆ ಪಡ್ತೀನಿ. ಅವರು B-Smile ಅನ್ನೋ ಒಂದು ಕಂಪನಿ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ, SPV ಸ್ಪೆಷಲ್ ಪರ್ಪಸ್ ವೆಹಿಕಲ್ ಅಂದ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು. ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಬೆಂಗಳೂರಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಮೇಜರ್ ವರ್ಕ್ಸ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಅದ್ರಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ ಅಂದ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಇದು ಕ್ಲಿಯರ್ ಆಗಿ ನಾನು ಹೇಳಕ್ ಇಚ್ಛೆ ಪಡ್ತೀನಿ. ಕಾನ್ಸ್ಟಿಟ್ಯೂಷನ್ ಆರ್ಟಿಕಲ್ 243W ಶೆಡ್ಯೂಲ್ಡ್ 12 ಪ್ರಕಾರ ಏನು ಕಾರ್ಪೊರೇಷನ್ಗೆ ಇರ್ಬೇಕಂತ ಅಧಿಕಾರವನ್ನ ಬೈಪಾಸ್ ಮಾಡಿ GBA ತಗೊಂಡಿದೆ. ಅದು ಮಾಡಿರೋದು ಒಂದು ಸಂವಿಧಾನಾತ್ಮಕ ಸಂಸ್ಥೆ ಅಲ್ಲ, B-Smile. ಅದು ಒಂದು ಎಕ್ಸಿಕ್ಯೂಟಿವ್ ಆರ್ಡರ್ ಮೇಲೆ ರಚನೆ ಆಗಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥದ್ದು. ಅದು ಅಟ್ಲೀಸ್ಟ್ ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ ಗೌರ್ಮೆಂಟು ಅದು ಒಂದು ಬಿಲ್ ಮಾಡಿಲ್ಲ. ಕಾನ್ಸ್ಟಿಟ್ಯೂಷನ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಅಮೆಂಡ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಆಗಿಲ್ಲ. ಅವರು ಒಂದು ಎಕ್ಸಿಕ್ಯೂಟಿವ್ ಆರ್ಡರ್ ಮೇಲೆ B-Smile ಕಂಪನಿಯನ್ನು ಮಾಡಿ ಇವತ್ತು ನಾವು ಟನ್ನಲ್ ರೋಡ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ, ಬೆಂಗಳೂರಲ್ಲಿ 120 ಕಿಲೋಮೀಟರ್ ಎಲಿವೇಟೆಡ್ ಕಾರಿಡಾರ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ, ಇವೆಲ್ಲ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಮೇಜರ್ ವರ್ಕ್ಸು, ಈ SWD ಸ್ಟಾರ್ ವಾಟರ್ ಡ್ರೈನು, ಇವೆಲ್ಲ ನಾವು ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಕೇಳೋದಕ್ಕೆ ತುಂಬಾ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿದೆ. ಇಂಪ್ಲಿಮೆಂಟ್ ಎಲ್ಲಿ, ಪ್ರಜಾಪ್ರಭುತ್ವ ಎಲ್ಲಿ ಅಂದ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ನಾನು ಹೇಳಕ್ ಇಚ್ಛೆ ಪಡ್ತೀನಿ. ಅದೇ ರೀತಿಯಾಗಿ ಈಗಿನ ಸರ್ಕಾರ B-Smile ಮಾಡ್ತು. ಹಿಂದೆ ಇದ್ದಂತ ಸರ್ಕಾರ, ನನ್ನ ಸರ್ಕಾರ, ಬೆಂಗಳೂರು ಸಾಲಿಡ್ ವೇಸ್ಟ್ ಮ್ಯಾನೇಜ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಲಿಮಿಟೆಡ್ ಮಾಡ್ತು. ಅದು ಸಹ ಸಂವಿಧಾನಕ್ಕೆ ವಿರುದ್ಧವಾಗಿ ಮಾಡಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥದ್ದು ನಾನು ಓಪನ್ ಆಗಿ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಹೇಳೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಇಚ್ಛೆ ಪಡ್ತೀನಿ. ಇದು ಎಲ್ಲೋ ಒಂದು ಕಡೆ ಈ ಹಿಂದೆ ರಾಜೀವ್ ಗಾಂಧಿ ಅವರ ಪ್ರಯತ್ನದಿಂದ 74th ಅಮೆಂಡ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಜಾರಿ ತಂದ್ರು. ತದನಂತರ ಎಲ್ಲ ರಾಜ್ಯಗಳು ಅದು ಅಡಾಪ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂತು ಎಲ್ಲ ಆಕ್ಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ. ಅದ್ರ ಪ್ರಕಾರ ಆರ್ಟಿಕಲ್ 243W ಶೆಡ್ಯೂಲ್ಡ್ 12 ಪ್ರಕಾರ ಪವರ್ಸ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಫಂಕ್ಷನ್ಸ್ ಲೋಕಲ್ ಬಾಡಿಗೆ ಏನೇನಿದೆ ಅಂದ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಕ್ಲಿಯರ್ ಆಗಿ ಸಂವಿಧಾನದಲ್ಲಿ ಹೇಳಿದೆ. ಈಗ ಸರ್ಕಾರ ರಾಜೀವ್ ಗಾಂಧಿ ಅವರ ತಂದ್ರು, ಆದ್ರ ಸಂವಿಧಾನಕ್ಕೆ ಆಶಯಗಳ ವಿರುದ್ಧವಾಗಿ ಇವತ್ತು GBA ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಅಂದ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ನಾನಂತೂ ಹೇಳಕ್ ಇಚ್ಛೆ ಪಡ್ತೀನಿ. ಇದು ನಿಜಕ್ಕೂ ಸ್ಥಳೀಯ ಸಂಸ್ಥೆ ಅಧಿಕಾರವನ್ನ ಕಡಿಮೆಗೊಳಿಸಿದೆ. ಮತ್ತೊಂದು ಹೇಳಕ್ ಇಚ್ಛೆ ಪಡ್ತೀನಿ. ಈಗ 5 ಕಾರ್ಪೊರೇಷನ್ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರಿ. 5 ಕಾರ್ಪೊರೇಷನ್ ಇವತ್ತು ನೀವೆಲ್ಲ ಸಾಕ್ಷಿಯಾಗಿದ್ದೀರಾ. ಕೆಲವೇ ದಿನಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಪುನಃ ಅದೇನೋ ನಾವು ಹಿಂದೆ ಪುಸ್ತಕಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಓದ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರಿ, ಮೊಹಮ್ಮದ್ ಬಿನ್ ತೊಗಲಕ್ ದರ್ಬಾರ್ ಅಂದ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ರಾಜಧಾನಿಯನ್ನ ಒಂದ್ ಕಡೆಯಿಂದ ಒಂದ್ ಕಡೆ ಚೇಂಜ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರು ಅಂದ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು. ಅದೇ ರೀತಿಯಾಗಿ BBMPಯನ್ನ ಇದು ಈ 5 ಕಾರ್ಪೊರೇಷನ್ ಡೆಲ್ಲಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾವ ರೀತಿ ಆಯ್ತು, 3 ಕಾರ್ಪೊರೇಷನ್ ಒಂದೇ ಕಾರ್ಪೊರೇಷನ್, ಅದೇ ರೀತಿಯಾಗಿ ಮುಂದೆ ನೀವೇ ಬೆಂಗಳೂರಿನ ನಾಗರಿಕರೇ ಹೋರಾಟ ಮಾಡಿ ಮತ್ತೆ ಒಂದೇ ಪಾಲಿಕೆ ಆಗೋದು ಸಹ 100% ನಿಶ್ಚಯ ಅಂದ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ನಾನು ಹೇಳಕ್ ಇಚ್ಛೆ ಪಡ್ತೀನಿ. ಯಾಕೆಂದ್ರೆ 5 ಕಾರ್ಪೊರೇಷನ್ ಇಂದ ಒಂದು ಕಾರ್ಪೊರೇಷನ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಬೆಂಗಳೂರು ಈಸ್ಟ್ 2 MLA ಕಾನ್ಸ್ಟಿಟ್ಯೂನ್ಸಿ ಇರೋದು. ಅಲ್ಲಿ ರೆವಿನ್ಯೂ ತುಂಬಾ ಜೋರಾಗಿ ಬರ್ತದೆ, ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಡೆವಲಪ್ ಆಗ್ತದೆ. ಬೆಂಗಳೂರು ಸೌತ್, ಬೊಮ್ಮನಹಳ್ಳಿ ಬೆಂಗಳೂರು ಸೌತ್ ಕಾನ್ಸ್ಟಿಟ್ಯೂನ್ಸಿ, ಅಲ್ಲಿ ರೆವಿನ್ಯೂ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಬರ್ತದೆ, ಆಗ್ತದೆ. ವೆಸ್ಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ರೆವಿನ್ಯೂ ಬರಲ್ಲ, ನಾರ್ತ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ರೆವಿನ್ಯೂ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಬರಲ್ಲ. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಡೆವಲಪ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಹೆಂಗಾಗ್ತದೆ, ಒಂದು ಕಾರ್ಪೊರೇಷನ್ ಡೆವಲಪ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಾಗ್ತದೆ, ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಆಗಲ್ಲ. ಇವೆಲ್ಲ ಮಾತಾಡ್ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಇನ್ನು ಬೇರೆ ಬೇರೆ ಕಡೆ ಹೋಗ್ತದೆ. ಇವತ್ತು ಟನ್ನಲ್ ರೋಡ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ ಅಂತಾರೆ, ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ದುಡ್ಡು ಎಲ್ಲಿಂದ ತರ್ತಾರೆ. ಮತ್ತೆ ಎಲಿವೇಟೆಡ್ ಕಾರಿಡಾರ್ಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಿ ಅಂತೀರಾ, ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ದುಡ್ಡು ಎಲ್ಲಿಂದ ತರ್ತೀರಾ. ಲ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ಅಕ್ವಿಜೇಷನ್ಗೆ ಎಲ್ಲಿ ದುಡ್ಡು ತಗೊಂಡ್ಬರ್ತೀರಾ, ಅದನ್ನೇ ಎಲ್ಲೂ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಪಾಲಿಕೆ ಇವತ್ತು ಪ್ರತಿಯೊಂದು ಪಾಲಿಕೆ 3,500 ಕೋಟಿ ಒಳಗಡೆ ಬಜೆಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಇವತ್ತು ಮೊನ್ನೆ ತಾನೆ ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಹೇಳಕ್ ಇಚ್ಛೆ ಪಡ್ತೀನಿ, GBAನಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಕನಿಷ್ಠ ತಿಂಗಳಿಗೆ 3 ತಿಂಗಳು ಒಂದು ಬಾರಿ ಮುಖ್ಯಮಂತ್ರಿಗಳ ನೇತೃತ್ವದಲ್ಲಿ ಆ ಸಮಿತಿ ಮೀಟಿಂಗ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. ಚೀಫ್ ಮಿನಿಸ್ಟರ್ GBG ಆಕ್ಟ್ 2024 ಬಂದ ಮೇಲೆ ಮುಖ್ಯಮಂತ್ರಿಗಳು ಎಷ್ಟು ಬಾರಿ ಮೀಟಿಂಗ್ ಅನ್ನು ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ? ಆಗಲ್ಲ. ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ಅವ್ರ ವರ್ಕ್ ಲೋಡ್ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಇರ್ತದೆ, ಇಡೀ ರಾಜ್ಯ ನೋಡ್ಬೇಕು. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಲೋಕಲ್ ಸೆಲ್ಫ್ ಗವರ್ಮೆಂಟ್, ಪ್ರಜಾಪ್ರಭುತ್ವದಲ್ಲಿ ಇರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥದ್ದು ಲೋಕಲ್ ಸೆಲ್ಫ್ ಗವರ್ಮೆಂಟ್. ಜನರೇ
Mr. Reddy, can you also talk? I mean, excellent comments. Can you also speak about what efforts are you taking in the court, Mr. Reddy? What efforts are you taking in the courts? What action are you taking?
ಈಗ ಕೋರ್ಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಒಬ್ಬ ಬೆಂಗಳೂರಿನ ಹೆಸರಾಂತ ಫಿಲಿಂ ಡೈರೆಕ್ಟರ್ ನಾಗಾಭರಣ ಅವರು ಕೇಸ್ ಹಾಕಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಆ ಕೇಸು ಮೊನ್ನೆ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಇತ್ತು, ಈ ಮಂತ್
Against GBA.
ಅಗೇನ್ಸ್ಟ್ GBA 8th ಹೋಗಿತ್ತು. 8th ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ ಗವರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಟೈಮ್ ತಗೊಂಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಈಗ ಈ ಮಂತ್ 15th ಹೋಗಿದೆ. ನನ್ನ ಪ್ರಕಾರ 100% GBG ಆಕ್ಟ್ 2024 ಕ್ವಾಶ್ ಆಗುವ ಸಂಭವ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಇದೆ ಅಂದ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ನಾನು ಹೇಳಕ್ ಇಚ್ಛೆ ಪಡ್ತೀನಿ.
Okay, that's it. How many of you need a quick translation? Okay, quite a few. So Manisha, if I can request you to give a 2-minute summary translation of this. You can stand here and do it, yeah.
So Dr. Reddy is basically questioning the constitutional legitimacy of the GBG Act. And the most important part is, one, administratively, while the system requires the chief minister to sort of bring the GBG Act to convene meetings every 3 months, just in terms of the workload, there are lots of questions about, is this even feasible? What does it mean for decentralizing power to local self-government? It goes against the basic ethos of what local self-government means. And another very interesting point made by Dr. Reddy is just the regional imbalance it might create just because of the revenue generating potential of different corporations. There is also a potential for regional imbalance. And there is also a High Court case, and Dr. Reddy was highlighting that there is a possibility that the GBJ Act might be squashed.
Thanks, Manisha. I just want to call out attention to in some ways, this conversation also symbolizes the spirit of Bangalore. You have a political leader who's openly coming and being somewhat political but non-partisan, criticizing his own prior government as well. Thank you so much, Mr. Reddy, for those very candid comments. Now going to Mr. Abdul Wajid. So very briefly, sir, one is your view on the GBA and the 5 MCs, and what is it that I know that you are also doing some interesting work around the upcoming elections, etc. If you can throw some light on that and the status of that.
Ellargu namaskara. Good morning, everybody. First of all, I'm thankful to Janaagraha for calling me for the debate. So, it's already been 5.5 years, no civic elections here in Bangalore. Janaagraha is already associated with the civic issues from almost 25 years. So that time it was BMP. 2007 it became BBMP. 2024 now GBA. ಸೊ ಹಂತದಲ್ಲಿ ಇಂಪ್ರೂವ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಆಗ್ತಕ್ಕಂತ ನಾವು ಕಂಡು ಬಂದಿದ್ದೇವೆ. ಯಾವುದೇ ಒಂದು ಮನೆ, one house, when the family grows, during the course of the growth, they depart, they divide, they go beyond, they look forward. So ಆ ಹಿನ್ನೆಲೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಇವತ್ತು ಬೆಂಗಳೂರನ್ನ ಬೆಳೆಸಬೇಕು. We have to take Bangalore to the international level, which already there during the time of from SM Krishna government, who had seen the Bangalore in 1990s vision for 25 years. That is what today Bangalore is. That is how we thought of having a GBA. GBA is nothing but we have divided the BBMP into 5 corporations. It has got the scope to have 2 more corporations in the future. When BBMP happened in 2007, we had 100 wards. We took about 7 CMCs around Bangalore and 110 villages. All together, we made Brihad Bengaluru Mahanagara Palike. This is not wrong. ಇದು ಬಹಳ ತಪ್ಪಿಲ್ಲ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದು. ಬ್ಯಾಂಗ್ಳೂರ್ನ ಡೆವಲಪ್ ಆಗ್ಲೇಬೇಕಲ್ಲ. We have to develop ourselves. We have to see our city grow. We cannot be under one only BMP or only BBMP. Tomorrow maybe GBA, tomorrow maybe something else. How do we see? How do we grow? So that is how we have gone into this 5 corporation, a smaller corporation with 72 wards and 63 wards and 112 wards. Divided the city into 5 corporations so that at least the participants of the city, citizens, is most important. With 198, hardly you could see the mayor. Hardly you have met the commissioner. Hardly the commissioner has come to you, the mayor has come to you. Now at least we have a time, we have very limited area. We have about 5 to 7 assemblies where 1 mayor is heading and 1 corporation commissioner is heading. So that citizen participation is most important. That is the weave. That is we have taken. That is why the GBA is formed. And regards to the election, 2010, though I don't want to blame anybody here, but that time the BJP government was there. Though they didn't want to have an election. So I am the fellow who went to the court. We won in the High Court. Court directed the government to conduct the election in 6 weeks. In 2020 December, but the then so-called BJP government went to Supreme Court. So we fought in Supreme Court. See, we are all normal citizens. We couldn't fight the government. So it has taken 5 years. Finally, the Supreme Court judge, the so far now Chief Justice Srikant Rao ordered saying that the election should have been completed by this June 30th. The process should be completed. That is how it is.
Do you see your government complying with that order?
100%. Already delimitation has been done. Voter lists have been divided. New areas have been formed.
So ironically, you started off as a litigant when the BJP state government was in power and not holding elections. And you've now become a litigant in a Supreme Court case where your own government in the state is not yet holding elections.
No. See, our government was always for the elections. See, we always see 224, we from 198, it became 243, now it became 225, now it has come to 5 corporations. Only because of, dividing the city, it has taken another 2 years more. Otherwise, we would have conducted the elections long back. Our government is ready to conduct the election. Hopefully, the citizens will have more participation for your debate today. That is, radical transparency will come into force when these 5 corporations will come into existence.
There appears to be bipartisan consensus about delaying elections to urban local governments. But we'll now plunge straight into the debate. I'll start with Meera. The first round really is, given where we are, I mean, we have to admit that it almost seems like you're running on a treadmill and you're not making progress. And because of that, you're basically going back. Growth is far outrunning livability in the city and sustainability in the city. Do you think radical transparency can be that catalyst for setting in motion a virtuous cycle where you create distributed leadership and you have enough information to hold the system to account and move things along? Yes, no, with a, maybe a 1 or 2 line justification.
In general, yes, and we can debate on the radicalness of the points that you folks have proposed. But in general, first putting information out there, ensuring everybody is on the level playing field, not just citizens and government, but also within the government is important. Even within departments, within agencies, there are silos. There is it's very difficult for people to really know what's going on in another part of the government, right? So that understanding and visibility is very critical to make, so that they make better decisions themselves. So within the government itself, it's going to help having transparency. The second part, of course, from citizens' perspective, it is important to hold the system accountable. You know what questions to ask and what to focus on, etc. And the other thing is, without this kind of information out there, without clarity on data, how do you even measure progress, where we are and where we want to go? How are various departments and institutions functioning? What is progress really? So this performance and metrics, and these are things cannot be done without having this black box called city government. So that's very critical. And given the current state with whether it is climate or other kind of emergencies, we really are in a state we can't be taking this for granted anymore. The frequency of challenges and emergencies and crises are going to increase, and therefore it's even more critical than ever.
Thanks, Meera. Mr. Wajid, if I can come to you, the reason we are emphasizing on radical transparency is it almost seems like even as time goes by, democracy should be getting strengthened at the grassroots level, but there appears to be a growing sense of disempowerment among citizens. That whether it's about organizations like BSmile, so Bangalore Solid Waste Management, etc., or it's the question of GBG, there appears to be a feeling that state governments can get away without consulting citizens and engaging with public opinion before they take decisions, irrespective of which side of the debate. The merit of the final decision comes second. The question is, how legitimate is the process by which you're making decisions? And therefore, it almost appears like citizens are losing a say in matters. So it appears that the only thing that can really reset this is when citizens have access to unlimited information, right, without any barriers on money, on people, on decisions, on the results of those decisions, etc. Because there are so many question marks in people's minds and in the city. Why are certain things happening? Why are certain things not happening? Why is so much money being spent on something? Where is the rest of the money going, etc.? So do you think radical transparency is that catalyst? Or do you think there is some other fundamental system redesign that is needed? If you can keep your answer brief, say a yes or a no, and then you can give a brief 1 or 2 line justification.
See, radical transparency is a must. Definitely say yes for that. Because without transparency, nothing will work. The citizens should know what's happening. I can call this transparency is the oxygen of democracy. Without knowing what is happening, whichever area we belong to, if you take BBMP or if you take GBA or if you take government, today for everything corporate is blamed. As you just highlighted today, out of 100%, hardly 20% of the grant is being used by the BBMP, whereas BESCOM is using about 40%, BDA is there, BMTC is there, BDA is there. For anything in the area, if the road is dug up, corporate is to be blamed. If there is no power, corporate is to blame. No street light, for everything. That is not the transparency. Transparency is what all the other parastal agencies should be involved in one roof. There is no coordination with the other agencies compared to the BBMP. Now, when it comes to question of spending, BBMP is very little. We had very small sources of about 3,000 crores, whereas the budget is around about 15,000 crores. Today, all 5 corporations, I think they have done a budget of about 20,000 crores. So people should know where the money is coming, where it is being spending, who is spending, who are the agencies. But Bangalore, people are busy. They don't have time. I hardly see people coming to raise the questions. Today, we don't have an elected representative. There is no corporators around. ML is not available. There are some ministers. Commissioners are not available. Officers are not available. Bangalore is so busy city. People are also busy on their own work. So unless and until the citizens come out and start raising the questions, how the money is spent in each and every area or each and every street for whatever spent, transparency doesn't come into. Transparency starts from the local level, from Gumasta to IS officer. If there is not transparent here and the citizen is not asking about the transparency, it is very difficult. But radical transparency is must.
Sure. Thank you. So a brief response from your side. Everybody will agree, sir. Everybody will anyway agree transparency is a good thing. We must have it. The question is that what can dislodge the current status quo?
Can radical transparency transform Bangalore? Question mark. Answer is there only.
It is there from not now, from years.
Can you elaborate on the question mark? Why is that a question mark, Mr.
ಈಗ ದೇವಸ್ಥಾನದಲ್ಲಿ ದೇವ್ರ ವಿಗ್ರಹ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ನಮ್ಮ ದೇಶದಲ್ಲಿ, ನಮ್ಮ ರಾಜ್ಯದಲ್ಲಿ ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಪರೆನ್ಸಿ ಆಕ್ಟ್ ಇದೆ. ಬಟ್ ಈಗ ನಾವು ರಾಡಿಕಲ್ ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಪರೆನ್ಸಿ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀವಿ. ಬೆಂಗಳೂರು ಅಡ್ಮಿನಿಸ್ಟ್ರೇಷನ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಪರೆನ್ಸಿ ಇರಬೇಕು ಅಂದ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನಡೆದಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥವರೆಲ್ಲ ಒಂದು ಆಶಯ. ನಿಜಕ್ಕೂ ಇದು ಒಳ್ಳೆಯ ವಿಷಯ. ಈ ಸಮಯದಲ್ಲಿ ನಾನು ಹೇಳಕ್ಕೆ ಇಚ್ಛೆ ಪಡ್ತೀನಿ, ಟೋಟಲ್ ಬಜೆಟ್ ಈ ವರ್ಷ 5 ಪಾಲಿಕೆ ಅಂಡ್ GBA 21,984 crores. 5 corporations and GBA. GBA ಅದು plus 5 corporation 21,984 crores. Per day 60 crores from 5 Palike's expenditure to Bengaluru. 60 crores from Bengaluru, the expenditure from 5 corporation. Each corporation per day 12 crores. ಈ ಡೆಮಾಕ್ರಸಿ ಸೆಟಪ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಪರೆನ್ಸಿ, ನಮ್ಮ ವಾಜಿದ್ ಅವ್ರು ಹೇಳ್ದಂಗೆ ಪ್ರಜಾಪ್ರಭುತ್ವಕ್ಕೆ ಒಳ್ಳೆ ಆಡಳಿತ ಕೊಡಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಪರೆನ್ಸಿ ಇರಲೇಬೇಕು. ಇವತ್ತು ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಪರೆನ್ಸಿ ನಾವೆಲ್ಲ ಈ ಖಾತಾಗೆ ಅಪ್ಲೈ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಎಲ್ಲ ರೆಸಿಡೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಇರ್ತೀರಾ, ನಿಮ್ಗೂ ಅನುಭವ ಆಗಿರ್ತದೆ. ಈ ಖಾತೆಗೆ ಅಪ್ಲೈ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ. ಸಾಫ್ಟ್ವೇರ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನಮ್ಮ ಡಾಕ್ಯುಮೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಅಪ್ಲೋಡ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ. 1 day 2 days ಒಳಗಡೆ ಈ ಖಾತಾ ಸಿಗ್ಬೇಕು. ಸಿಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆಯಾ? ಅದು ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಪರೆನ್ಸಿ. ಎರಡನೇದಾಗಿ ಇವತ್ತು ಪ್ರೊಕ್ಯೂರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಇದೆ. ಅಮೆರಿಕದಲ್ಲಾಗ್ಲಿ, ಲಂಡನ್ನಲ್ಲಾಗ್ಲಿ, ಡೆಲ್ಲಿಯಲ್ಲಾಗ್ಲಿ ಎಲ್ಲಾದ್ರೂ ಕೂತ್ಕೊಂಡು ನಾವು ಟೆಂಡರ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಪಾರ್ಟಿಸಿಪೇಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು, ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಪರೆನ್ಸಿ ಆಕ್ಟ್ ಪ್ರಕಾರ. ಆ ಟೆಂಡರ್ಗಳು ಓಪನ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆಯಾ? ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್, 33 ಪ್ಯಾಕೇಜಸ್ ನ ಟೆಂಡರ್ ಕರೆದು 6 months ಆಯ್ತು. 33 ಪ್ಯಾಕೇಜಸ್ ಫಾರ್ ಗಾರ್ಬೇಜ್. 3 months ಆಫ್ಟರ್ ಟೆಂಡರ್ ಓಪನ್ ಆಗಿದೆ. ಟೆಕ್ನಿಕಲ್ ಬಿಡ್, ಫೈನಾನ್ಸಿಯಲ್ ಬಿಡ್, ಆಮೇಲೆ 1 ತಿಂಗಳು ಬಿಡ್. ಇಲ್ಲಿವರೆಗೂ ಟೆಂಡರ್ಗಳನ್ನ ಯಾಕೆ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿಲ್ಲ? ಇವೆಲ್ಲ ಯಾಕೆ ಮಾತಾಡ್ತೀನಿ ಅಂದ್ರೆ, ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಪರೆನ್ಸಿ ಇದೆ, ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಪರೆನ್ಸಿ ಫಾಲೋ ಯಾರು ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀವಿ? ಪ್ರತಿಯೊಂದರಲ್ಲೂ ಇವತ್ತು ಏನಾಗಿದೆ, ಇವತ್ತು ನಾವು ನೋಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀವಿ. ಲಾಸ್ಟ್ ಟೈಮ್ 40% ಕಮಿಷನ್ ಅಂದ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಘೋಷಣೆ ಬಿದ್ದು, ಈಗಲೂ ಕಮಿಷನ್ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಹೋರಾಟಗಳು ನಡೀತಾ ಇದೆ. ಇದಕ್ಕೆಲ್ಲ ಕಾರಣ ಮೊದಲು ನಿಮಗೆ ನಾನು ಜನಾಗ್ರಹ ಅವರಿಗೆ ನಾನು ಅಭಿನಂದನೆ ಮಾಡಕ್ಕೆ ಇಚ್ಛೆ ಪಡ್ತೀನಿ. ಅಟ್ಲೀಸ್ಟ್ ಈ ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಪರೆನ್ಸಿ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಜನರಲ್ಲಿ ಜಾಗೃತಿ ಮೂಡಿಸೋದಕ್ಕೆ, ಅವೇರ್ನೆಸ್ ಮೂಡಿಸೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಇಂಥ ಸಭೆಗಳು ಇಡೀ ಬೆಂಗಳೂರು ಮಟ್ಟದಲ್ಲಿ ಈ ರೀತಿ ಆಯೋಜನೆ ಮಾಡಿದಾಗ ಜನರಿಗೆ ಎಲ್ಲೆಲ್ಲಿ ಏನೇನು ಅನ್ಯಾಯ ನಡೀತಾ ಇದೆ ಇದೆಲ್ಲ ಜನರಿಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಾದಾಗ ಮಾತ್ರ ಈ ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಪರೆನ್ಸಿಗೆ ಒಂದು ಬೆಳೆ ಬರುತ್ತೆ.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Reddy. I'm just going to take a couple of comments from the audience. I'm not opening it up yet. I'd like to go to Mr. Gowda for you. I don't know. He's a very eclectic personality. He's a former member of parliament in the Rajya Sabha. He was a member of the Brand Bangalore committee. He's been a professor in IIM Bangalore. He's written academic papers on campaign financing. I don't know how many of you are aware, in an earlier avatar. Besides, of course, having appeared in the finals of the Mastermind quiz, etc. Very eclectic personality. So proud to have you as a fellow Bangalorean, Professor Gowda. My question to you is very sharp. And I'm asking you not in your capacity as a Congress person or as an active politician, but I'm asking you as somebody who's also had another avatar of researching things like the impact of campaign financing, etc. Do you think radical transparency could be the catalyst for change, given all the complexity of political economy that we see in Bangalore?
Well, I personally was quite shocked to see the presentation about how little information was actually available. I myself have not studied municipal finances, and so in that sense, it was quite a surprise, to put it mildly. We are, especially when it comes to finances, these are our money. It's public money, and it's incredibly important, therefore, for at least an accounting of where that money came from, where it's spent, that much at least is available and publicly accessible. Anyway, now going back to one or two other things that came up. For example, Mr. Reddy's very, very strong criticism of the GBA and its structure. When I'm the fourth member of that committee, and what shall we say, we just decided that yes, we are committed to decentralization, but we also want to be practical and effective. And given the number of parastatals, given the practical realities that these organizations are headed by officers who will listen to only the state level leadership, not to city level leadership, we decided that we'd create some kind of a hybrid situation. I can tell you that even a simple thing as, when I was vice chairman of the planning commission, I introduced metro feeder buses in the city. Just getting something which it's not rocket science. It's such a simple thing to do. And, it took so much effort trying to get 5 agencies to work together. And I had a cabinet rank in spite of all that, but we managed to push it through. But the basic point is, the structure is, you can challenge its constitutional validity, etc., but it's designed to get the job done. I also think that his criticisms that efficiency hasn't happened, that there are still potholes and things like that. This is all just starting. The new regime is just starting. ಇವತ್ತೇ ನಿಮಗೆ ರಿಸಲ್ಟ್ ಬೇಕು, ಕೆಲಸನೇ ಶುರು ಮಾಡಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ಅಂದಾಗ ನಾವು ಹೇಗೆ ಉತ್ತರ ಕೊಡೋದು ಅದಕ್ಕೆ? So the basic point is, we're hoping that the smaller corporations, like Wajid said, will be more responsive, more accessible. There are ward committee structures that we've put in place for active citizen participation. So, should result, and where citywide major projects are involved, we have the GBA taking care of it to make sure that no ward or no corporation is left behind, etc.
Thanks, Professor Gowda. Nitin, if I can, you had stepped out for a bit, so I'll just fill you in. Essentially, I'm just taking 2-3. Mr. Rao, I'll come back. This is not an open audience. I'm just inviting 2-3 comments. I'll come back to the panel. So Nitin, the question is, we are stuck in a rut. We are seeing a status quo. Growth is far outrunning livability. There's increasing private prosperity in Bangalore, but there is public squalor. And the deep sense of distrust, cynicism, people giving up hope, etc. So we are all looking for that. We know that there are 100 things that need to be done, but we see nothing is getting done. So is there something that can dislodge the status quo, and can radical transparency be one of that? So we just took a comment from Professor Gowda. if you can weigh in very briefly for 2-3 minutes on whether transparency can set in motion a virtuous cycle. If not, what else you think is an alternate? Of how do you start dislodging the status quo? And I want to stay away from the 74th Constitution Amendment, GBA kind of debates. I mean, we ourselves are deeply invested in it, but those are long term.
Yeah. I won't get into that because I'm a part of an organization that's already in court on that subject. So we'll park that aside. No, transparency is very important, but the very thing is, it should be in a way that is the ordinary person can easily see the data. Right. So today there are so many websites of the government. If I search very hard, I can find some information about a tender, but it's very difficult to find. The fact is, it should be presented in a simple table, simple format where you can go to your ward, the specific corporation, the specific ward, the specific parastatal, what work is happening. That information should be there on one central portal. You click, you should get the information. Today, nothing is available. Amela, second point is history, what is called ward history. In that particular road, when was it asphalted last? And otherwise, there's this famous thing that Mr. Ravichandar had mentioned. Ali, from A to B, asphalting is given as a tender in 1 year. B to A, it is given in the next year for the tender. But it's the same road. So, transparency is we definitely need. That's my point.
Sure. So I want to get one young voice. Okay. Maybe I can be ageist and say somebody less than 30 years old, young Bangalorean. I met a couple, Shirish and Vivek and others. There are also others, not to put you in the spot. My question to you is simple. Assume what Nitin says happens, which is assume for a moment the government starts putting out information in an easy to use manner. As people who are born and raised in Bangalore, do you have the time, do you have the mind space to look up the data and engage with it? Because you've taken the time to come here on a Saturday. I spoke to you. You said you came for the first session as well. I started talking to them about collective civic action and they paused me in my third word saying you're preaching to the converted. So active Bangaloreans. So if one of you can tell us, if we put out information in the public domain, and Mr. Wajid also had an argument of saying citizens need to come out and question. Similarly, Mr. Reddy's point also was there are laws requiring transparency, but they're not getting implemented. So as a young Bangalorean, if data is made available in an easy manner, will you engage with it?
Yes, I think there's plenty of people who are interested in data and what the government is doing. But the main problem is they don't know how to engage with the government. So there's a lot of people who complain on Twitter or like online spaces. There's plenty of people who are frustrated also. And if there's an easy way to engage with the government, I think there's plenty of people who will.
Can you introduce yourself a little bit, Shirish?
I'm Sirish. I'm a software engineer. I wasn't born here, but I was brought up in Bangalore. Been here for like 22 years.
And do you see an impulse one thing that I've noticed, I myself am here for about 15 years. One thing which is unique about Bangalore's civic action, you pretty much see a similar group of people or the same people pretty much over long periods of time. And there's also a lot of debate about whether a large influx of people from outside Bangalore who may not see Bangalore as a home is impacting, etc. What is your sense of the pulse of the youth with respect to data, civic engagement, participation, etc.? Professor Gowda spoke about ward committees and so on.
I think most people are very frustrated, but again, like I said, they don't know where to go, and they just assume that this is how the city is and how it will be.
So if there is data and if there is a platform in your neighborhood where you're told, say on a Saturday between 11 a.m. and 1 p.m., there will be a ward committee where there's a ward councillor and other parastatal agency representatives will be present. Do you think the youth, both Bangaloreans and people who are living in the city temporarily, will turn up?
Yes. In conversations with friends, many of them say that Bangalore is way more active as a city. Whenever they go to other cities, they say there's just not much happening. And like they are very interested in finding places to like go out, vent or discuss and come up with solutions.
Thank you. Thank you for that, series. That really holds out a lot of hope, because I was wondering, why is it that there's no new generation of civic actors at the RWA level, etc. I'm going to come to Meera, to you next. In addition to whatever else you were anyway going to say, Meera, if you can also touch a little bit about Open City. Speak a couple of minutes about Open City, why you started it, and what are the current trends that you're seeing? How many data sets are there? Who is using them? And any impact stories arising out of them, etc. Over to you.
Sure. So Open City is a urban data platform, and a lot of us, whether we had a lot of data as part of Citizen Matters work over the years, we had collected a lot of, data sets, reports, documents, etc. And a whole bunch of active citizens who had these data because they were fighting some case or they were taking up some initiative and they had RTI data, whatever. So all of this was sitting in different like silos, people's hard disk in somewhere online, etc. So we just felt like why don't we just put it all together in one site so that it's easy to find? Because first step for transparency is data should be accessible, discoverable, available, usable in a readable format. If you go to the erstwhile BBMP site, which is I think true of the current GBA site as well, there will be some reports and there'll be scanned images. Even if you go to whether it's a tender site or the work order site, if you really have the patience to go and dig in, there is stuff. But it is just not easy to sort of use it really to make sense of it. There's a lot of junk data uploaded. You're supposed to have an action taken report at the end of let's say a road project. It's some random, it could be a road anywhere in any part of the world. It could be like one close-up of a bit. Like, what's the point? So I think that is something since we were sitting on all this, we just put it together and it's been hugely useful. A lot of people in the civic space and beyond use it, journalists use it, researchers use it. So people are finding it super useful because you are able to make sense and put it all together. You can layer data on top of each other. You can look at demographic data versus the jurisdictional data, saying which wards need what kind of challenges they have. You look at transport data and you look at, let's say, flooding data, and then you know which areas are going to have issues when it rains. So a lot of that kind of analysis you can play around. You can predictively, actually, the city should be using this kind of data to make decisions and prevent kind of issues. You know that every year these kind of things happen, and use data to make sense of it. So over the years, last few years, not just the fact that this data has been hugely useful by lay citizens and a lot of young people come and play around with the data and they find very interesting. They develop dashboards and apps and tools. And we
Can you
also
give some examples and also give us a sense of how many data sets, how many people have engaged? You've also held hackathons, etc.
Yeah. So we have around 1,000 plus data sets overall, and I think about 550 or so are from Bangalore, which means in terms of actual files and resources, it's around 8,000, 9,000 files, or data files. Could be reports, could be maps, could be budget, work orders, all sorts of project reports, EAI, all of that is available there. And just our job is just clean it up, make it usable, put it together so people can. So one of the points he makes, if I may respectfully disagree, it's not like people don't care. Of course, everybody is busy. They have their day jobs. Just getting to office, coming back looks like a marathon. But even when they're trying to find it, it is just so hard, right? It's not, why is it that you have to even file an RTI? Anything that is supposed to be, how many sites actually have the proactive disclosure under RTI? What is that? Section 4.1. Yeah. So all of this is really important. If you take many of these local WhatsApp groups where not just citizen civic groups, but also officials are there. There's a constant bombardment of what is going on to this project. When are you going to do this? There is interest. I will not deny this is, like he said, it's one of the most active cities. There is huge interest, not just from RWS, but a lot of young people as well who are engaging. Look at a group like Friends of BMTC who are actually using the transport data to help people actually, make BMTC more usable and popular. So there's a lot of interest. I would not, deny that. So people have been using data for, just to give you one example, we have had over the last couple of years a lot of work on lakes. So we've done lake audits. There's been a framework to audit. So groups of civic volunteers have gone out and audited some almost 30 lakes, brought back the observation, and then we had a data jam looking at that data, the ground observation plus layering on whatever you can see, spatial data, remote sensing information, looking at budgets, putting it all together to actually develop a state of the lakes report. So for these 30 lakes, you actually know what's going on, which parts are encroached, what is a boundary, which are the communities living close by, where are the missing channels. Only when you look at remote sensing, you know, because
people using this data.
Yeah, people are using it. Now the local lake volunteers are using it to actually push the departments and their local elected representatives to take action.
Like as Nitin says, you're saying if usable data is put out, people will start looking at it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, usable data, it should not be a, extra effort to actually go do it.
Access the data.
Data should be a byproduct of all the standard workflow in any agency.
Very well said, extremely well said. Mr. Wajid, if I can come to you and then to Mr. Reddy. One of your party's MLAs made a very interesting comment in I don't remember whether it was a public meeting or not, therefore I'm withholding the identity. Essentially, he basically said that when I took over as a first-time MLA in the constituency, there's no handover process. Nobody comes to me and tells me this is a map of the constituency, these are all the public assets. And as Nitin again said, what is the road history? When was what work done? What are the ongoing works, etc. So it almost looks like, as Meera also alluded to earlier, citizens obviously are impacted by transparency, but it looks like government itself is a victim of poor transparency within the government. That they are not able to see each other's data, that data is not available and so on. So as councillors, what is the data that you would have needed vis-a-vis what data you got? Was there a systematic way in which you were given data as councillors for you to make decisions? Or if not, how were you able to navigate the system?
Yeah, see, as I rightly told you before also, for everything, councillor is in the picture. So we used to have our own data, we used to have our own budget, we used to have our own committees, we used to have different committees. We had health committee, we had social welfare committee, we have the other committees, like 11, 12 committees we had. So for each committee, we used to have a chairman on that. So while BJP, while the budget has been presented by the so-called ruling poor party, whether it is BJP or Congress. So we used to set the agenda saying that this is our budget and this is what the councillor gets for his ward development. This is for social welfare department. This is for education. This is for health, all that. So when it comes to the data is available, whatever is there in our capacity as a BBMP councillor, as BBMP is itself. So they have different social welfare department has got its own budget. We at least when we were the corporators, we used to give something to the poor people. At least we used to distribute some cycles or laptops or saving machines to the public, and some medical grants also was given when mayor grant was there. Now nobody is there. Nobody is to find out where the money is going, how the money is going. There is still the social department. There is still the other departments, but nothing is happening. That means the transparency is not there. The transparency was there when the councillors were there, but
very interesting.
Very interesting, yeah. So when the councillors was there, the transparency was there. When now the councillor is there, no transparency is there. The officials are ruling the city. No doubt, see, the government is looking at saying that it has to be developed, but the so-called IAS officers are ruling the city without taking the confidence of the local citizens or the NGOs or the other organizations together. What has to be done? So how many people you are aware of the recently budget done in the different corporations? Have you been invited? Have you been consulted? Nothing. So the budget has been done on their own and it is going to be implemented after 4 to 5 months. That is also I want to highlight. Once the budget is being done in the corporation, it has to go to the government to get the approval. Then it comes, then the budget is formed, then the tendering will be happen, then the tender will be called, e-procurement, everything is on the system. But to implement, it will take almost 8 months. That means the next budget is already almost approaching. The moment you start the next budget, the spillover is still there. So people won't know which budget is this, 26, 27 or 25, 24. Still there are 23, 24 budget is happening. So there is a lot of confusion among the people to know this, as rightly said, A to B or B to A. A to B was done in 2023, B to A is doing in 2025, 26. So there is a lot of confusion. Road history is always there. See, any road has to be taken for development. Previously, they will check whether this road has been taken up by any other agency, whether it is a social welfare department, whether a SC/ST department, whether a minority department, or from any other agency. But in the corporation level, if the road history is there and is not done in 3 years, that can be done. But here, one more thing I want to tell, we ourselves are to be blamed. See, today we, in our area, this Bangalore is developed over years. It is still underdeveloped, I'll say. Lot of revenue levers have been developed. Lot of revenue levers still don't have the basic facility. You won't believe 2010, RT Nagar, next to RT Nagar in my ward, there was no Kaveri water. 2010, when we were elected, there was a strong BJP minister that time. He was a minister for water, but there was no water in this area. Why? This lack of citizen movement. And there was definitely a conspiracy by somebody. So it is now in 15 years, we still are not able to give full Kaveri water. We are living in city. So that needs to be addressed. How to address is a question.
Sure. Thanks, Mr. Wajid. So two important things I'll just call out at this stage. One is the last point that he mentioned, which he reiterated. All of us generally feel proud. Bangalore is, all other cities, is more civically more active, but it looks like that's really not good enough. We need to redouble the efforts, get more people together, and signal to the political leadership for more substantive change, because areas which are in the heart of the city don't have access to basic infrastructure and services. But the other point that he also mentioned is how the elected representatives at the local government level, however disempowered they might be, still matter. And I want to say two things. One is, I myself have seen systematically how the BBMP's finances have improved over the years, and how BBMP's transparency has improved, whereas other parastatals have remained the same or worsened. You can see that in the report that is there with you. BMTC at one point was significantly better managed in terms of finances, but over the last 10-15 years has worsened. Public scrutiny really led to BBMP cleaning up their balance sheet. There was so much outcry. I don't remember which party was, but there was so much outcry from the opposition and the public around the BBMP's large loan book, pending contractor bills, etc. Systematically, they cleaned it up. And now BBMP has got an 80% score in transparency as per Merin and Nandikeshwari's research, whereas other parastatals on average only have 33%.
That happened in
So,
5 years.
that's not something that the research throws up. No, I'm
telling you,
I'll come back to you.
Padma Reddy won't agree for that. You won't believe there are about 11 to 12 buildings were mortgaged by so-called previous people who
I'll come back.
who ruled.
I want to make
And we are the persons, and now if we go politically, we are the people who got it back.
Sorry.
Now finance person 80% improved. That is correct.
I would dispute
Sorry,
that. It's
I'm just telling you. Loan, mortgage, not mortgage. Mortgage by whom? Got it by whom?
Let's give him 30 seconds for rebuttal. And then
ಇದು ಪೊಲಿಟಿಕಲ್ ಚಾರ್ಜ್. ಪೊಲಿಟಿಕಲ್ ಚಾರ್ಜ್ ನಾನು ಹೇಳ್ತೀನಿ, ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಆನ್ಸರ್ ಕೊಡ್ಲೇಬೇಕು. ಎಸ್, ಬಿಜೆಪಿ ರೂಲಿಂಗ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ 6-7 ಪ್ರಾಪರ್ಟೀಸ್ ಮಾರ್ಟ್ಗೇಜ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದು ನಿಜ. ತೀರ್ಸಿದ್ದು ಯಾರು? ವಾಜಿದ್ ಅವರು, DK ಶಿವಕುಮಾರ್.
ಓಕೆ, ಸರ್
ಅಲ್ಲಲ್ಲ, ಇಡೀ ಅದೆಲ್ಲ ಮಾತಾಡಬಾರ್ದು. ಚೀಫ್ ಮಿನಿಸ್ಟರ್ ಅಲ್ಲ, ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಪೇಯರ್ಸ್ ತೀರ್ಸಿದ್ದು. ಆದ್ರೆ
ವೆರಿ ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ ವೆಲ್ ಮೇಡ್.
ಮಾರ್ಟ್ಗೇಜ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ ಯಾಕೆ? ಕಾಂಗ್ರೆಸ್ ಅವರು 1000 ಕೋಟಿ ಸಾಲ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು ಹುಡ್ಕೋನಲ್ಲಿ, ಬ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಕರಪ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿತ್ತು. ಅದನ್ನ ತೀರ್ಸೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಮಾರ್ಟ್ಗೇಜ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕಾಗಿ ಬಂತು. ಕಾಂಗ್ರೆಸ್ ಅವ್ರು ಮಾಡಿದ ಸಾಲ ಅದು BBMP ಬಂದಿಲ್ಲ ದುಡ್ಡು. ಸಾಲ ಮಾಡಿ ಡೈರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿ ಹುಡ್ಕೋಕ್ ತೀರ್ಸಿದ್ದು ನ್ಯಾಷನಲೈಸ್ಡ್ ಬ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ. ಸೊ ನೀವು ರಾಜಕೀಯವಾಗಿ ಮಾತಾಡಕ್ ಹೋದ್ರೆ ನಾನು ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಮಾತಾಡ್ಬೇಕಾಗ್ತದೆ. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಈಗ ರೆಸ್ಪಾನ್ಸಿಬಲ್ ಸಿಟಿಜನ್ಸ್ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ.
ಸಾರಿ
ಮೀಟಿಂಗ್ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ನಡೀತಾ ಇದೆ. ಪೊಲಿಟಿಕಲೈಸ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಡಿ.
It's not a political, sir.
ಎರಡ್ಮೂರು ಪೊಲಿಟಿಕಲೈಸ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಡಿ.
Why I highlighted was his question was regarding the radical transparency. He was talking about e-khata. So e-khata is
okay,
come
so it's
now.
One all. It's fine. Okay, it's one
e-khata.
Okay, let's agree it's 1-1. Thank you, Mr. Wajid, Mr. Reddy. But the other important point is that at the union level and state level, what is very diligently followed is not even 1 rupee from the public exchequer can be spent without the house of elected people, which means not the legislative council or the Rajya Sabha. They have no powers over voting on money bills, voting on budgets, etc. The elected representatives of the people have to approve the budget. Whereas in the city council, that's not the case. It's possible for bureaucrats to make the budget, and you know, in what is appalling, even when there are elected councillors, you have to send your budget to the state government for approval. Why? When the state government does not send their budget to the union government for approval. So some of these are also anomalies. So one of the positive fallouts of having elected councillors and an active democracy in the city is there is greater transparency as well. I'll just I can see Katyayani also here, couple of others, but I don't want it to open it up for questions. If you have a point on transparency and participation, if you can make that very sharply. Katyani, you have a point of view on the GBA and the 5 MCs. You also have fought for ward committees and area sabhas and all quite actively. If you can make a sharp point on whether you're hopeful that in the new system, there will be ward committees, feel free to be candid. We are after all citizens.
Thank you for giving me this opportunity. I just want to mention that a few weeks ago, we wrote a letter from Shantinagar, where our office is located, saying that the whole of Shantinagar has been dug up, but there's not a single board put up about the works being done. And you won't believe it, just yesterday I saw BWSSB has put up a board saying that these are the works we are doing in Shantinagar. And so if the citizens ask, definitely it will happen. And let me tell you, the ward committee rules say since 1997 or so that every work should be given to the ward committee, details about every work, and that every work should be displayed like this for transparency to the citizen. But when I was a ward committee member, to get the map of the ward drawn on the ward of the Shantinagar, it took me 2 years.
So if I can ask you a follow-up question on that, Katyani, that's a very interesting point. So one is you are basically reaffirming that if we should continuously ask, then you will get, which is your recent example. But on the map, Abdul Wajid also brought out the issue about bureaucrats, etc. Was that an issue of bureaucrats not having the data, not providing the data, or elected representatives not being willing to give the data?
Yeah, the councillors was not willing to put it up on the wall of the ward, but I got the engineer, the secretary of the ward, to finally do it. But she did it without even drawing where the government properties are located. Just one vague map without even the streets being marked and the civic community sites not being marked, the government properties not being marked. And she's told me that she's been asked not to show those properties. So that is where transparency.
So there is some deliberate undermining as well.
I just wanted to
I'll just add one point. So though BWSSB has put it up in Shantinagar now, one board, the same work is going on the drains by the Central City Corporation, and that engineer has refused to put up the boards. So I told him, please follow example of BWSSB. But also we had written to Mr. Maheshwar Rao that there are so many buildings that are not following the bylaws, and not a single sanction plan has been displayed in front of those buildings.
Excellent
So
point.
even that is being simply violated.
Thanks, Katyani.
Just wanted
Yeah,
to
one-
mention that one of the most popular data sets on OpenCity are the ward maps for Bangalore. Because people have no idea where the boundary is. It's like this side of the road is another ward, the other side is. So you want to know where your ward is, whether you're paying property tax or whether you're filing a complaint, right? So that's actually, so you can download that open data and load it on Google Maps or Earth, wherever you can watch it. So this is actually very, as well as the zoning maps. So these are very useful.
Sure.
No, see, on the maps, I just want to tell what happens.
Nothing about what the BJP government.
No, it's not about BJP or Congress.
yeah.
So basically, see, as I wrote in the beginning, I said we had about 100 wards. There was a map, then became 198, new map. After the 243, another map. After the 225, one more map. Now it is 369 different maps. So this is an issue. Delimitation should happen, but it should happen only after 25 years. That should be the rule. Otherwise, citizens will always have a confusion.
Thank you. So we are able to see some subtle self-criticism by both the councillors about their own parties as well, even as they criticize each other. Can I get one? We'll open it up. We have enough time for audience interactions. Satish, do you want to speak on behalf of Apartment Federation, particularly on the issue of transparency and participation? Do you see that being valuable, or are you seeing something else? And as BAF, you represent what, some 10,000 apartment complexes in the city?
Can you repeat?
How many apartment complexes?
Yeah, I'll just explain. Yeah. I'm Satish
Keep it
Malya,
brief, yeah.
Bangalore Apartment Federation. We have about 1,450 plus apartment as our members. Okay. So we represent about 3.5 lakhs household, you can say, in the vertical.
So more than 1 million people.
Yeah, vertical
Yeah.
setup. Okay. I have seen the ward committee previously and now GBA new act. Okay, last time what we felt is most of the ward committees are appointed by either the councillor or the MLAs of the block. The main change we can feel now, I think, in the GBA, whether it's practical or not, is on lot basis. I think we can see that transparency coming into picture because I was part of.
But it's not yet implemented, right?
Implemented, but it's there in the paper.
In the act.
So I think it will be a transparency point of view that is better, I feel, because even though I was part of the ward committee and some of the ward in Yalanka, it is, we didn't have anything to play there. Only thing we can only complain every meetings. Okay, so going forward, I think it's a lot basis. So it will be selected on lot basis. I think it will be a good thing. Yeah.
Thanks. Mr. Rao, very brief intervention. Very brief. Not a question, but a comment on the topic we are discussing now. Very brief, please. We have enough time for overall interaction. So,
right in the beginning, there was this talk about, BESCOM being the biggest spender
yes,
in Bangalore, right?
40% of public expenditure.
40%, okay. And if you go to their website, it's all obfuscation.
Yes.
There's very little of information available. Now, and BESCOM is also, very recent reports, is rated amongst the poorest performing DISCOMs in the country. Okay. Now, if you go to, in comparison, if you go to Delhi Electricity Regulatory Commission website, okay, you have information of the 4 different agencies who are supplying power.
Private agencies, right, in Delhi?
PPP.
Yes.
Okay, it is 49% held by the state government and 51% with the government of Delhi. And if you look at the structure of that PPP, I don't think even Kartyayani would have any difficulty in accepting that. It's a most equitable, successful.
Okay. What is the point
structure.
you're making, Mr. Rao?
Yeah, and through that, they have achieved today near 100% reliable power supply.
Sure.
Okay, whereas in Bangalore, it is, mind you, it was something like about 55%, the T&D losses, theft and dacoity losses. Today, it is less than 8%. And with that, they are today offering 200 units.
But what is your point?
The poorest people. Okay.
No, what is your point on this?
Yes,
Mr.
point exactly is that, and they're declaring profits, and the biggest beneficiary of their dividends that they're declaring is the government of Delhi. Now, why? And the tariff levels in there are far lower than in Bangalore, and for near 100% reliable power supply. Here we are going on increasing power supply for the poorest power suppay. And when I try to, how is it that, I mean, none of these civil society organizations have brought up this matter? I went to the court, filed a PIL, the government agencies, the government lawyers, 4 of them, they didn't have a single answer against
I think you
any
made
of
this
my
point in the
points.
first edition as well. I think you made this point in the first edition as well, isn't it?
No, I didn't get an
PPPs.
opportunity. I would like to make a full presentation on this.
Sure, okay. Okay, thanks.
Why
I'm going to
is
come back.
Bangalore suffering this nonsense from BESCOM? And why are the civil society organizations simply sitting quiet over it?
Okay,
That's the question I have.
Thank you. I mean, what is underlying that is also the fact that many of these parastatals are not subject to public scrutiny of elected representatives. The moment you have a democratic opposition is when many of these questions also get raised, and they are forced to submit their accounts and so on. In the absence of an elected house demanding the accounts, you don't even see that data. So, and that's a point Merin made, that many of these people are required not to publicly disclose, but only to send a secret report to the government, whether it's the GBA or the state government. Somebody was...
KRC having the data of BESCOM, I don't know whether we have gone through it. The BESCOM published to the KRC.
See, the thing is, as Nitin said and many others said, it has to be easily available. I should be able to go to the BESCOM site and download all the data, isn't it? I'll come back to this, to the panel. And see, one of the things that Nitin mentioned and a couple of others referred to is this entire thing of easy availability of data. You also alluded to it. And having that in a simple format and ward history, which essentially, and Mr. Reddy also spoke about it, which is the entire life cycle of civic works. At a street level, what are the tenders which have been floated? Who applied for that contract? Who won on what basis? What is the budgeted cost and timeline? What is the actual cost and timeline? What payments were made? Where is a copy of the measurement book, which is a technical document that shows the drawing, progress of work during the time? And who did the quality certification? Are the citizens finally happy about it? And through that, you can also look at what all works did those contractors do? Why did you dig up that road there? And you are also able to follow the money. You can say, why did you do a footpath work in my ward when on my street when I actually needed street lights? So these conversations then get catalyzed at the ward level, etc. One of the things that came up, and the additional secretary Mohua quoted it in our national conclave in Delhi. 10 years ago in Bangalore, one of the municipal commissioners actually did a radical act of putting out all payments made by the BBMP online. Every single payment made to every contractor was made online, including copies of the measurement books. Obviously, they put it in a manner in which it was very difficult to access. It was, it was hidden in some corner of the BBMP website, and it was also very difficult to access. It was not just a simple table, etc. You had to put in your ward number and so on. And it resulted in disenchantment, I know, within that municipal commissioner and a good CFO who was there. She was a chartered accountant and masters in policy from Harvard and so on. They were very keen. They brought out the BBMP FRBM rules at that time, which called for transparency of the kind we are discussing now. They felt somewhat let down that citizens were not accessing the data. So there is this thing, one of the arguments for road widening and saying don't build footpaths is nobody walks, right? It's the same thing about saying, why should I put out the data when nobody is looking at it? So what would your argument be? Is it that now with technology things are changing, or is this a flawed argument?
See, one of the reasons for this gap is that publishing data seems to be taken as a separate task. Like I said, it should be a byproduct, whatever, whether it's a workflow or decision making. And it's not just civic work. There is a lot of other expenditure from BBMP has schools and primary health centers and so many things, welfare schemes, all that. There is crores going everywhere. So question is, one, what are the different departments and what is their workflow? And as a side effect of whatever, once something gets approved, automatically it should be displayed. Literally, you need a view version permission into the same system. It should not be an independent website where somebody will download a PDF and go there and upload. That, I think the design of the system is hugely important. And when you think of data, it is not just about money, but it is all the other things that put it in context, whether it is, all the, right from office notification, which will tell you what is, what are the decisions being made, the minutes of the council meetings. Has anybody ever seen a BBMP council minutes meeting?
Anybody?
Only when somebody, a popular or a well-known corporator like Dr. Reddy speaks, then you will find it in the newspapers next day.
Whereas for the Lok Sabha and Vidhan Sabha, I suspect this is more systematically
there are
done.
minutes, everything is there. Vidhan Sabha, there were still issues with assembly some years ago, but it's much better now. At least it's there on the side, you can scrape it, you can read it, etc. But from a city council perspective, there's just no idea what goes on, right? Unless somebody goes there and sits. So there's no recording, no minutes. So I think all of these are important. All the detailed project reports, all the, the job codes and the tenders, everything should be accessible. So there is a compact between the city and the state, and therefore, citizens pay taxes and vote and whatever, engage with the system. The city has to, the government has to put it hold their side of the equation. Yeah.
We are reaching the 12:30 mark when I want to open it up for questions and a more active interaction. So in 2-3 minutes, Meera, what is the main barrier that you see and what do you think should be done now to dislodge it? And given that we don't have elections yet in the council, etc., and there is a certain degree of inaccessibility of the state level bureaucracy, and I'm counting commissioners of municipalities as part of the state level bureaucracy, given posting, transfers, etc., done by that. What is a key barrier? What can we do to dislodge it, to achieve greater degrees of transparency?
I think there is a huge need for redesigning the system. Honestly, the data/information architecture.
But isn't that going down again a 3-5? Isn't that like a Ijipura flyover kind of project?
Listen, you have to start. The best time to plant trees was yesterday. So you have to start somewhere. Because even now, if you go look at some of the work orders, it'll be on the basis of the 198 wards. They haven't been mapped to the new system at all. I'm saying, 10 years after, 5-6 years after the change. So entirely, the things cannot talk to each other because each one follows a different format, different structure, right? That entire system, workflow, all of that has to be redesigned. And I think the city needs a chief data officer. You're talking about a city of 12 million, 14 million. We are
That's a great point.
Really huge. This is a complex system. See, this is 3% in compared to China, this is what I've heard, that where 50% of government expenditure happens at the local level, we have only 3%. With that 3%, if you're so messed up,
Less than 3.
and as you know, as policy-wise experts, typically everybody agrees that this should go up. More work, more expenditure should happen at the local level than, you know, centralized or state level schemes. If that pie
What
is
is the
going to
time-
increase, how more messed up can it get?
So meaningfully, what is a time frame within which you think we can make a discernible change? If, say, a certain group of a coalition of the willing emerges and focuses on transparency and, you know, ward level transparency, street level transparency, and focuses on it, meaningfully, what is a time frame you would give for us to create discernible change?
I think one term. I mean, we are at a time of radical technology change. If we can't fix this in a city like Bangalore, where else?
So one term as in 5 years, you're saying?
Yeah.
Systematically work for
I
5
would
years.
say that a huge change can happen.
Can happen. Great. Abdul Wajid, one barrier that you currently see, because you also spoke about the bureaucrat as being a barrier, which is an interesting point. I would have loved to hear a little more on that. And the second is, what do you think we should do and how hopeful you are that it will happen?
Yeah, I agree with Madam. We should have, like how we have a chief commissioner, we should have chief data officer. And today we are in the world of digital India, we are in the social media, we are in AI, we are getting everything on one tape. So all pastoral agencies should be on one roof, one app where you can assess everything on, if you go on, then BBMP, BDA, everything together, then in BDA what you want. Then you should have a scope for giving suggestions, you should have a scope for giving complaints, and you should be getting the reply back. So that system should be evolved. It's a need of the emergency, as she said. And the time frame should be like how we started, like e-Khata, we started in one constituency on a temporary basis, a trial basis, whatever said. So we can start with one assembly in Bangalore. So about 28 assemblies, which take 5 years time. So definitely
Why are you now going to the MLA's unit?
MLAs are ruling now. So MLAs are responsible. So corporators are yet to come. We don't know when they are going to come. So right now, MLA assembly we should target on in that. Anyway, wards are there. So go by one assembly in another 5 years, we can get all the data. One roof, one app, one chief manager, whoever it is, data officer. Yeah, that's better.
And how hopeful are you that it can happen?
Definitely, if somebody has to take a start. Today, if you start crying, then only you should get another, at least definitely if we get to be elected or if we can come back to power, definitely I'll arrange for one.
But do you see your current, why do you need to again come back to power? You have your state government, and as you're saying, the MLAs are ruling, the state government is ruling more than MLAs.
That's what I'm saying.
Do you see commitment in your party's leadership to do this?
100%, 100%. Professor Janaagraha is also here. When somebody take off, and Janaagraha can give a representation to the deputy CM, Janaagraha can take a delegation and say, yes, we want it.
There's Meera, there's Katyayani.
Many are there. Many are there.
Yeah.
If to hold a delegation, we can go and meet, and this is what we want.
Will you provide?
And definitely our government will say yes for whatever transparency we are number one.
That's so, Mr. Wajid, will you be willing to help us get a meeting with the chief minister or the deputy chief minister on this matter?
Definitely, I can couch on this and I can get your.
Professor Gowda,
yeah.
it's meaningful for us to be able to meet the deputy CM
We can
on
meet
this.
the CM and deputy CM together.
With a
plan. Yeah. What exactly we want? Definitely, yes.
That's, I mean, compliments to Mr. Wajid and Professor Gowda. They're making a commitment that if we go with a plan,
Exactly.
if some of us go with a plan on this, obviously it has to meet certain tests of feasibility, etc. He is assuring us that he'll try his best. I'm adding a disclaimer on your behalf. Because you're not in control of his schedule, so we know that. He'll try his best to get us a meeting with the Deputy Chief Minister on this. So it's really up to some of us to pick it up. So that's a useful outcome.
Yeah.
So thanks, Mr. Wajid. Mr. Reddy, you've been in some ways and I think it's a healthy debate. You're a litigant in the High Court. You are a GBA skeptic, like some other friends here as well. What is the main barrier to transparency and participation? What do you think is the one thing that we should do, and how hopeful you are that it will happen in the foreseeable future?
ರಾಡಿಕಲ್ ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಪರೆನ್ಸಿ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಏನು ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಚರ್ಚೆ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀವಿ. ನಾನು ಒಂದು ಹೇಳೋಕೆ ಇಚ್ಛೆ ಪಡ್ತೀನಿ, ಡಾಟಾ ಪ್ರತಿಯೊಬ್ಬರಿಗೂ ಸಿಗಬೇಕಾಗಿದೆ. ಡಾಟಾ ಪ್ರತಿಯೊಂದು ಡಿಪಾರ್ಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಡಾಟಾ ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ಸಿಗಬೇಕು. ಅದು ಫ್ರೆಂಡ್ಲಿ ಯೂಸ್ ಆಗಿರಬೇಕು. ಈಗ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ ಹೇಳ್ತೀನಿ. ಇವತ್ತು ನಾವು 7,000 crores ಇನ್ವೆಸ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಒಂದು SPV ಮಾಡಿದ್ವಿ, ಬಿ ಸ್ಮೈಲ್. ಇಲ್ಲಿವರೆಗೂ ಅದು ವೆಬ್ಸೈಟ್ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಚೆಕ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಬೇಕಾಗಿದೆ.
Yeah, we observed the same. No website for BSmile. So we were trying to look for the account. 7,000 crores have been allotted to this agency. It doesn't even have a website.
ನಿಯರ್ಲಿ 1 year ಆಗ್ತಾ ಬರ್ತಾ ಇದೆ ಅದು. ಹಾಗೆ ಕೆಲವೊಂದು ಡಿಪಾರ್ಟ್ಮೆಂಟು ಹಾಕಿದ್ರೆ ಅಡ್ವರ್ಟೈಸ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ತರ ಬರ್ತದೆ. ಇವತ್ತು BSWML ಆಟೋ ಹೋಗ್ತಾ ಇರೋಂಗೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಕಾರ್ಟೂನ್ ಪಿಕ್ಚರ್, ನೋ ಇನ್ಫಾರ್ಮೇಶನ್. ಈಗ ಖ್ಯಾತಿನೇ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರು, ಅವರು ಒಂದು ಲೆಟರ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದೀಗ ಏನೋ ವಾಟರ್ ಬೋರ್ಡ್ ಅವರು ಒಂದು ಬೋರ್ಡ್ ಹಾಕಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಗ್ರಾಸ್ ರೂಟ್ ಲೆವೆಲ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಪರೆನ್ಸಿ ಇರಬೇಕು. ವಾರ್ಡ್ ಕಮಿಟಿ ಸ್ಟ್ರೆಂಥನ್ ಆಗಬೇಕು. ವಾರ್ಡ್ ಕಮಿಟಿ ಸ್ಟ್ರೆಂಥನ್ ಆದ್ರೆ, ಈಗ ನಾನು 30 years ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೀರಿಯನ್ಸ್ ಇದೆ ಬೆಂಗಳೂರಲ್ಲಿ. ಮುಂಚೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ವಾರ್ಡ್ ಕಮಿಟಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಪೊಲೀಸ್ ಡಿಪಾರ್ಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಅವ್ರು ಬರ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರು, ಬೆಸ್ಕಾಂ ಡಿಪಾರ್ಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಅವ್ರು ಬರ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರು, ಹಾರ್ಟಿಕಲ್ಚರ್ ಅವ್ರು ಬರ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರು, BBMP ಅಫಿಷಿಯಲ್ಸ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಲೋಕಲ್ ಅವರು, ವಾಟರ್ ಬೋರ್ಡು ಎಲ್ಲ ಇಂಜಿನಿಯರ್ಸು ಎಲ್ಲ ಆಫೀಸರ್ಸ್ ಬರ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರು. ಆ ವಾರ್ಡ್ ಲೆವೆಲ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಏನೇನು ಬೇಕೋ ಅಲ್ಲೇ ಸಮಸ್ಯೆಗಳು 90% ಬಗೆಹರಿತಾ ಇತ್ತು. ಅಂತ ಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್ಮು ಈಗಿಲ್ಲ. ಮತ್ತೆ ನಾವು ಒಂದು 15-20 years ಇಂದ ನಾವು ಮಾತಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಬರ್ತಾನೆ ಇದ್ದೀವಿ. ಪ್ರತಿಯೊಂದು ರೋಡ್ಗೆ ರೋಡ್ ಹಿಸ್ಟ್ರಿ ಇರಬೇಕು. ನನ್ನ ಪ್ರಕಾರ ರೋಡ್ ಹಿಸ್ಟ್ರಿ ಇರಬೇಕು. ಆ ರೋಡಲ್ಲಿ ಎಷ್ಟು ಮನೆಗಳಿದೆ, ಎಷ್ಟು ಪೋಲ್ಸ್ ಇದೆ, ಎಷ್ಟು ಸ್ಟ್ರೀಟ್ ಲೈಟ್ಸ್ ಇದೆ, ಎಷ್ಟು ಟ್ರೀಸ್ ಇದೆ, ಆ ರೋಡಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾವ ಟೈಪ್ ವೈಟ್ ಟಾಪಿಂಗ್ ಇದೆಯಾ, ಬ್ಲಾಕ್ ಟಾಪ್ ರೋಡ್ ಇದೆಯಾ, ಡ್ರೈನೇಜ್ ಸಿಸ್ಟಮು, ಸ್ಯಾನಿಟ್ರಿ, ವಾಟರ್ ಏನು, ಪ್ರತಿಯೊಂದು ಯಾವಾಗ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು ಏನು, ಪ್ರತಿಯೊಂದು ಆ ವೆಬ್ಸೈಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಆ ರೋಡ್ಗೆ ಹಾಕಿರ್ಬೇಕು. ಪ್ರತಿಯೊಂದು ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಪರೆನ್ಸಿ ಆಗಿರ್ಬೇಕು. ಆಗ ಈ ಸಮಸ್ಯೆನೇ ಬರಲ್ಲ. ಇವತ್ತು ಉತ್ತಮ ನಗರ ಆಡಳಿತ ಬೇಕಾಗಿದ್ರೆ ನೀವೇನು ಇವತ್ತು ಧ್ವನಿ ಎತ್ತಿದ್ದೀರಾ, ರಾಡಿಕಲ್ ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಪರೆನ್ಸಿ. ನಿಜಕ್ಕೂ ಆ ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಪರೆನ್ಸಿ ಪ್ರತಿಯೊಂದರಲ್ಲೂ ಇದ್ರೆ ಡೆಫಿನೆಟ್ ಆಗಿ ಬೆಂಗಳೂರಲ್ಲಿ ಒಳ್ಳೆ ಆಡಳಿತ ಬರುತ್ತೆ.
Will it happen in the next 2-3 years?
ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ 2-3 years ಅಲ್ಲ, ಇವತ್ತಿಂದನೇ ನಾವು ಫೈಟ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. ನಮ್ಗೆ ಇವತ್ತೇ ಬೇಕು. ಈಗ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ ಹೇಳ್ತೀನಿ, ಪ್ರತಿಯೊಂದು ಅಕೌಂಟಬಿಲಿಟಿ. ಈಗ ನನ್ನ ಅರ್ನಿಂಗ್ಸ್ ನಮ್ಮ ಮನೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಕ್ವಶನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಇದು ಪಬ್ಲಿಕ್ ಮನಿ, ನಾವು ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಪೇಯರ್ಸ್ ಮನಿ ಏನಾಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ ತಿಳ್ಕೊಳೋ ಕರ್ತವ್ಯ, ಕೇಳೋ ಹಕ್ಕು ಪ್ರತಿಯೊಬ್ಬ ನಾಗರಿಕನಿಗೆ ಇದೆ. ಅದು ಏನು ನಮ್ಗೇನಿಲ್ಲ, ಅದು ಸಂವಿಧಾನದಲ್ಲಿ ಪ್ರತಿಯೊಬ್ಬ ನಾಗರಿಕನಿಗೆ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಹಕ್ಕು. ನಮ್ಮ ಹಕ್ಕನ್ನು ಕೇಳೋದ್ರಲ್ಲಿ ತಪ್ಪೇನೂ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಇವತ್ತು ತುಂಬಾ ಹೋಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. ಎಲ್ಲೋ ಒಂದು ಕಡೆ ಇಂಪ್ಲಿಮೆಂಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಎನ್ಫೋರ್ಸ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಫೇಲ್ಯೂರ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೀವಿ ಅಷ್ಟೇ. ಎಲ್ಲಾ ವ್ಯವಸ್ಥೆ ಇದೆ. ಇವತ್ತು ಟೆಕ್ನಾಲಜಿ ತುಂಬಾ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿದೆ. ಈಗ ಮಕ್ಕಳು ಶಾಲೆಯಿಂದ ಸ್ಕೂಲ್ ಬಸ್ಸಲ್ಲಿ ಬರ್ತಾ ಇರ್ತದೆ. ಆ ಬಸ್ ನಮ್ಮ ಮನೆ ಹತ್ರ ಎಷ್ಟೊತ್ತಿಗೆ ರೀಚ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ ಅಂದ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ನಾವು ಮೊಬೈಲಲ್ಲಿ ನೋಡ್ತೀವಿ. ನಮ್ಮ ಮನೆ ರೋಡಲ್ಲಿ ಗಾರ್ಬೇಜ್ ತಗೊಂಡ್ ಬರೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಆಟೋ ಯಾವಾಗ ಬರ್ತದೆ ಅಂದ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ನಾವು ನೋಡಕ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಇಷ್ಟು ಟೆಕ್ನಾಲಜಿ ಇದೆ. ನಾನು ಇಸ್ರೇಲ್ಗೆ ಹೋಗಿದ್ವಿ, ನಾವು ಮೇಯರ್ ಎಲ್ಲ. ಇಸ್ರೇಲ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ವಾಟರ್ ಬೋರ್ಡ್ ಇಂಜಿನಿಯರ್ ಆಫೀಸ್ಗೆ ಹೋಗಿದ್ವಿ. ಎಂಟೈರ್ ಆ ಡಿವಿಷನ್ಗೆ ಒಬ್ಬ ಅಸಿಸ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ಇಂಜಿನಿಯರ್ ಒಂದು ಲ್ಯಾಪ್ಟಾಪ್ ಮಾಡಿಕೊಂಡು ಒಂದು ಫೆದರ್ ಟಚ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಆ ರಸ್ತೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾವ ರಸ್ತೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ವಾಲ್ ಓಪನ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಒಬ್ಬ ನಮ್ಮ ವಾಲ್ ಮ್ಯಾನ್ ಒಂದು ದೊಡ್ಡ ರಾಡ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡು 2-wheeler ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಹೋಗ್ತಾ ಇರ್ತಾನೆ. ಇಷ್ಟೊಂದು ಟೆಕ್ನಾಲಜಿ ಇದೆ. ಅಫ್ಕೋರ್ಸ್ ಅದು ಸ್ಮಾಲ್ ಕಂಟ್ರಿ, 45 kilometers ವಿಡ್ತ್, 650 kilometers ಲೆಂತ್. ನಮ್ದು 140 crores ಇರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಪಾಪ್ಯುಲೇಷನ್ ಇರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ
We can do it in Bangalore. Yeah.
ಇದೆ. ಬಟ್ ನಾವು ಇಷ್ಟೊಂದು ಟೆಕ್ನಾಲಜಿ ಇದೆ, ಇಷ್ಟೊಂದು ಅಡ್ವಾನ್ಸ್ ಆಗಿದ್ದೀವಿ. ನಾವು ಇಲ್ಲಿಂದನೇ ನಾವು ಪ್ರಾರಂಭ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕಾಗಿದೆ, ನಾವು ಹೋರಾಟ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕಾಗಿದೆ. ಸೊ ಆದ್ರಿಂದ ಇವತ್ತೇನು ನೀವು ರಾಡಿಕಲ್ ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಪರೆನ್ಸಿ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಧ್ವನಿ ಎತ್ತಿದ್ದೀರಾ, ನಿಜಕ್ಕೂ ಇದು ಬೇಕಾಗಿದೆ. ನಮ್ಮ ದುಡ್ಡು, ನಮ್ಮ ಹಣ ನಾವು ಕಟ್ಟಿರೋದು ನಮಗೆ ಯಾವ ರೀತಿ ವಾಪಸ್ ಬರ್ತಾ ಇದೆ, ಮಿಸ್ಯೂಸ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆಯಾ, ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕೆಲಸ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆಯಾ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಪ್ರತಿಯೊಬ್ಬ ನಾಗರಿಕನಿಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗ್ಬೇಕಾಗಿದೆ. ಬರೀ ಬೋರ್ಡ್ ಹಾಕ್ಬಿಟ್ರೆ ಅಲ್ಲ, ಆ ಬೋರ್ಡ್ ಹಾಕೋದು ದೊಡ್ಡದಲ್ಲ. ಪ್ರತಿಯೊಬ್ಬ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಹೋಗಿ ರೋಡ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಬೋರ್ಡ್ ದಿನ ನೋಡಕ್ ಆಗಲ್ಲ. ಅವನು ವೆಬ್ಸೈಟ್ ಓಪನ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಅವಾಗ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗ್ಬೇಕು.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Reddy. I'll just do a quick translation and then we can take comments. So, Mr. Reddy said few things. One, B-Smile has a 7,000 crore budget, does not have a website. Similarly, Bangalore Solid Waste Management Company Limited has some graphics, etc., but no meaningful information. Okay.
ಈಗ ಯಾವ ಸರ್ಕಾರನೂ ನಾನು ಬ್ಲೇಮ್ ಮಾಡಕ್ ಹೋಗಲ್ಲ. ಬ್ಯಾಂಗ್ಳೂರಲ್ಲಿ ರೋಡ್ ವೈಡ್ನಿಂಗ್ಗೆ TDR ಇಶ್ಯೂ ಮಾಡಿದ್ವಿ. ಮೋರ್ ದನ್ 1000 acres ಬ್ಯಾಂಗ್ಳೂರಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು TDR ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದೀವಿ ರೋಡ್ಗೆ. ಇಲ್ಲಿವರೆಗೂ ನಾನು ನಮ್ಮ ಪ್ರೊಫೆಸರ್ ರಾಜೀವ್ ಗೌಡ ಅವರು ಇದ್ದಾರೆ, ನಾನು ಅವ್ರ ಗಮನಕ್ಕೆ ತಗೊಂಡ್ಬರ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ. 1,000 ಎಕರೆ ಸ್ಕ್ವೇರ್ ಫೀಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಕನ್ವರ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಎಕರೆಗೆ 1000 acres ಅಷ್ಟು ಜಾಗಗೆ ನಾವು ಲ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ಅಕ್ವಿಜೇಷನ್ ಮಾಡಿದೀವಿ, TDR ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದೀವಿ, DRC ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದೀವಿ. ಅದನ್ನ ತಗೊಂಡು ಅವರು ಬಿಲ್ಡಿಂಗ್ಗಳು 90% ಕಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ, ಯುಟಿಲೈಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಬಟ್ BBMP 10% ಲ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ಅನ್ನ ವಶಕ್ಕೆ ತಗೊಂಡಿಲ್ಲ. 10% ಲ್ಯಾಂಡ್. ಇದು ವಾಜಿದ್ ಅವರು ಇದ್ದಾರೆ, ನಾನು ಕೌನ್ಸಿಲ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ರೈಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದೆ, ಒಂದು ಕಮಿಟಿ ಮಾಡಿದ್ವಿ. ಅಷ್ಟೊತ್ತಿಗೆ ನಮ್ ಟರ್ಮ್ ಎಂಡ್ ಆಯ್ತು. 1000 acres ಇಲ್ಲಿವರೆಗೂ ಅವರೇ ಎಷ್ಟೋ ಪ್ರಾಪರ್ಟೀಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಅವರೇ ರೆಂಟ್ ತಗೊಂತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ.
So, Mr. Reddy, the point is made. Thank you. I think
ಆದ್ರಿಂದ
that also relates to transparency, the fact that we don't have
ರಾಜೀವ್ ಗೌಡ ಈ ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ ಒನ್ ಸೆಕೆಂಡ್ ಸರ್. ರಾಜೀವ್ ಗೌಡ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ನಾನು ಇದು
Sir, we also
ತಾವು
want to hear from
ದಯವಿಟ್ಟು
the audience.
ಚೀಫ್ ಮಿನಿಸ್ಟರ್ಗೆ ಹೇಳಿ ಇದನ್ನ ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಪರೆನ್ಸಿ ಬರಬೇಕು, ಎಲ್ಲ ವೆಬ್ಸೈಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಆಗ್ಬೇಕು.
The TDR details. Yeah, TDR stands for transferable development rights. So we'll open it up now. If you can have the mic to Madam on the first row. Please introduce yourself. Keep your comment or question short so we can take more number.
Thanks very much. First of all, I'd like to quickly thank Janaagraha for really, bringing up these debates, which is extremely important in terms of public, not only information system, but also in terms of motivation on what we can do. Obviously, when we're talking of transparency, I don't think it's my understanding is not just about systems efficiency, which I think most of the discussion today was about. That's transparency is really one end of the continuum. My question is about the other end of the continuum, which is opaqueness. And opaqueness is really about the governance. And nobody's talked about the governance. And when I say governance, it's about no service, no government service gets delivered without paying under the table. So it's highly corrupt system. So why should there be transparency of data at all? I mean, so I think, forgive me saying this, but we're just skimming the surface when we are talking about transparency and systems efficiency. Nobody is talking about the governance. And you talked about, Mr. Shrikant, on disempowered, citizen. I would disagree with that. If I have the money, I'm empowered, I'll get my work done. Sorry. But unfortunately, I don't have the money and I cannot give, and for getting an e-Katha, I have to pay out of my nose. For getting my car registration done, I have to pay out of my nose. So for everything you pay, why would there be data transparency? Thank you.
Sure, thank you. It's a longer conversation. I'll probably pick it up with you offline. We've done some work on retail corruption through ipayidabribe.com, etc. But it's a very important point. Thank you for bringing that up. The lady just behind, madam.
Hi, I'll just do a very quick intro and give a small perspective on transparency and how we have gone about it in the past. I'm Parveen Gauri Bidnoor. I'm a technologist who went to NLSIU to do public policy. I worked with Dr. Shalini Rajneesh for Tumkuru Smart City. So some of the learnings from there that are so relevant to this conversation, and it's a comment on democratization, transparency, and the idea of using technology to be an enabler. The learnings from there was that we developed disconnected systems over technological framework. There was digital libraries, there was digital road, markers and all of that. So when we go about creating, like ma'am was saying, a whole technological data or, database system for Bangalore and by and large to Karnataka, one is, it's not just hiring a chief data officer, but having a coherent and measurable and well thought of technological framework that governs all aspects in a consistent model. You cannot create a separate
Have you implemented
portal.
this in Tumkur?
I'm sorry?
Have you implemented this in Tumkur?
We tried to, but all the challenges we face them as well. So today, there is a really strong need to create a consistent model that takes in all of this data, and you can't just sit with data. Data is nothing if you do not get people to engage with it. It has to be livable, it has to be measured, it has to be made accountable, there has to be dialogue around it.
Sure.
So, and these systems have to be consistent. As in, for example, one very quick thought is the portal. Karnataka One portal that was created. That was a great portal to bring all the data of Karnataka in one place, but it did not see the light of the day. It wasn't implemented in the manner that it was supposed to. Similarly, if we create Bangalore One portal today, bring all the ward information there, create measurable, say 7 to 10 units that you want to publicly discourse, and then follow up.
Sure, that's a very useful input.
Thank
That's
you.
a very useful input.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yes, a gentleman in the black t-shirt. I'm just working my way to the back. Please indulge me. Introduce yourself, keep your question or comment short, please.
Sure. My name is Samir. I'm an IT professional and also a public policy analyst. Resident of Bangalore, not too far from here for the past 35 years. A comment on the GBA. Sir, ಇದು ಒಳ್ಳೆ ಉದ್ದೇಶದಿಂದ ಮಾಡಿರುವಂಥ ಕಾನೂನು ಅಲ್ಲ. ಯಾಕೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ವಾರ್ಡ್ ಲೆವೆಲ್ನ ಸ್ಟ್ರೆಂಥನ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, ಬೆಂಗಳೂರನ್ನ ಸುಧಾರಣೆ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ BBMP ಇಂದನೂ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದಾಗಿತ್ತು. ಒಳ್ಳೆ ಆಕ್ಟ್, GB ಆಕ್ಟ್ ತರೋ ಅವಶ್ಯಕತೆನೇ ಇರಲಿಲ್ಲ. ಏನಕ್ಕೆ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಿತ್ತು? BBMP ನೇ ಸುಧಾರಣೆ ಮಾಡಬಹುದಾಗಿತ್ತು. Transparency could have been bought inside the BBMP itself. So my question is, why was Greater Bengaluru Authority created in the first place? Was it created to skim money of residents of people and fight elections in other parts of the country? Was that the intention? The more I read about this act, that is what I'm going to infer. That is why I'm posing this question to both, Wajid sir and Reddy sir here. Why was this required?
I'm having to, it's a great question, it's a great reflection. Samir, you said, right? Samir, thank you. But we'll take it a bit offline. I would also refer you to an analysis that we've done of the GBG legislation along with its comparators, including the KMC Act, BBMP Act. Matthew is here. Matthew is one of the principal authors of the original legislation, 4 rows behind you. He's an expert on the subject. You can also pick it up with him offline. Professor Gowda is sitting in front of you. And I myself, frankly, do not agree with your view. That doesn't make me right or you wrong. But all I'm saying is it's an interesting debate. Let's take this offline a bit if you agree. There's a gentleman behind Mr. Malia.
My name is Venkatesh. I'm originally from the software industry, from the corporate world, now retired. I saw that all the discussion around transparency seemed to revolve around finances. There seemed to be an underlying assumption that once we expose where money is getting spent, everything else will naturally fall into place. Actually, I think it's beyond that. I think there's a question mark over the competence of some of the people who are responsible for Bangalore's civic infrastructure and its delivery, right? So my question is, why don't we expand the scope of transparency to include the names of people who are accountable for very specific areas of civic? For instance, this road outside. I don't know whether it should cost 20 crores or 40 crores for it to be laid properly. But I can see whether it's been laid properly. And if I know that Mr. So-and-so is responsible for that and it's not been laid properly, the public has an opportunity to hold incompetent people accountable. And I'm not referring to elected officials. The public has an opportunity to hold elected officials accountable, and the scope is much more than civic infrastructure. I'm thinking specifically of people behind the scenes. They may be civil servants, I don't know who. But I think the names of those people should be published as part of the radical transparency.
Absolutely.
So
I think it's a fantastic articulation and completely agree with you. And I think some of the discussions also incorporates that, which is name of the engineer in charge, name of the contractor in charge, name of the entire chain of command, so to speak, within the government system that's accountable should be tagged to individual jurisdictions and made public. I think it's a fantastic point.
Just, if I may just add to it, technically in the work order, in the contracts, many of this information is available, right? Right from who's responsible, who are the officials, who have signed off. You'll see right from the sanction letter, this is somebody who's approved the payments, right? And then there'll be a bill of materials, there'll be a actual, like, what is the density that have been committed, as per what guidelines, what should be the thickness, what layers, how many times, like.
So it's there,
so
but it's
all
not,
of that is technically supposed to be there. So it's by default, it'll automatically, I think,
except
get covered.
that, like she's saying, it's currently very dense and virtually impossible to access as of now. So the idea is really, how do you shine the light on it and open it up? The lady in the white shirt.
Hi, my name is Pragna.
There are some benefits to taking front row seats in these kind of events that needs to be made public.
Yeah, my name is Pragna. I'm a long-time resident of Bangalore. Along with what we are going to publish as part of Radical Transparency, why a specific work was taken up is very important, because many times, even if last year's data, if I have to go back and say what works was done, how much was spent, sometimes we may get the data, what work was done, when it was done, who's the engineer, if all the data is there. But sometimes it's just not needed, that work.
Yes, exactly.
So where did the request come from, and partly the history of it. Sometimes it's not even a citizen requested work at all.
Most often it is not.
Most often it is not. But I mean, I don't know how it can be brought up before, after images, or like, why was it this work at all taken up? That's very important.
Thank you. Yeah, the underlying rationale. There's a gentleman in the white shirt here. Yeah.
So my name is Ajit. I represent Whitefield Rising, coming from Adipura. So I want to give a little bit perspective on a few things. So I'll take a little bit of time. So first of all, I'll keep it brief. So quick thing, in Madhipura, we have set up ward committees and it's working very effectively. And Madhipura was suffering the most all this while because of the way the structure of the municipal was. So what I want to just put at a high level is, citizens, if they are engaged, they can contribute and make a difference. Even in spite of such differences in financials for Madhipura, with the ward committees, we tried to get whatever we could. So transparency will definitely add to the participation. We have a huge group in Madhipura where citizens are part of these ward groups. That itself shows that they want to get engaged. As soon as you share information, you will get participation. I'll tell you one simple example with this, why it can help. We have certain blocks divided in Madhipura for garbage collection. And individual blocks or the houses in these blocks are part of this ward group. They know when the auto comes. If the auto has not come, they know who is the person to contact. That has added to a lot of improved garbage collection in some of the regions. I'm just telling you a simple transparency or information sharing, which has helped. So this is a really, really good initiative. However, one last point I would like to say is, this is not the end of it. There is one systematic change which we want to see, is how we do things in the municipal. If you look at any other municipal, we have the best of the minds or the best of the engineers driving the municipal. Here, we don't have it. I'll tell you a simple example. The way we do the road. After we do the road, we have the BESCOM line, the GAIL line, the OSC cable, the sewage line, everything underneath without any systematic structure. And it will never be sustainable. The moment you do one repair, you break the other. I'm just telling you an example. If you do it structurally,
understood,
there is a lot of improvement and efficiency improvement. We
Thank
can
you.
save
Thank you,
costs.
Ajit. We anyway have an offline engagement that we are going to meet around. So we'll pick up the rest around then. The gentleman in the pink shirt. Yeah.
Thank you. My name is Siddharth Surana. I live in Marathalli, or shall I say I survive in Marathalli, right? While, exactly. I think there are a lot of people, they wanted to come, but they are still stuck in traffic, I think. But I can hear people from Shantinagar and Ashok Nagar complaining about not being a display of the work being done or a notice. But
those seem like first world problems to you?
Yeah, exactly. Those are really first world problems, because the moment I drive 3 or 4 kilometers westwards, I see this is Bangalore. This is really open, wide roads, cleanliness, and we are somewhere, some forgotten backyard or hinterlands of Bangalore. My question is around the resource allocation and transparency in resource allocation. We all know that where the most of the revenue for all these civic bodies come from, right? And what are the most densely populated wards, right? Why? And I was just looking at some numbers of these 22,000 crores, right? Per capita expenditure is the least in Bangalore East, whereas the per capita expenditure is the highest in, I think, West and Central, despite no proportional revenue coming from there and a lot of grants being done. There could be some valid reason, but I just want to get educated. Why is it that some part of the Bangalore are completely neglected and for decades? And why some parts are so much pampered? Even the metro, when it came through all the power centers. Had it come along the outer ring road today, we would not be living in this mess and hell, which is we are living in. Yeah.
So there is no, I'll just respond very quickly because, we kind of work extensively in this area. There is no rational basis for allocation within the city today, right? Within the country, there is a finance commission arrangement at the union level and state level, which says, okay, how do you make sure Maharashtra, Gujarat, Tamil Nadu don't continuously get back their tax revenues and develop significantly faster than a Bihar, Odisha, Madhya Pradesh, Jharkhand, etc. There's an equalization method. It doesn't exist within the city. They do not use drivers of growth, right? Number of properties, number of motor vehicles being added, square footage of built up area, etc. as basis for revenue allocation. They don't. And they use outdated census data, etc. And the census data for Bangalore East will be the one that is most understated because maximum growth is happening there. So that's one of the reasons. Gentleman in the white shirt just right behind. Yes.
Hello, I'm Gautam Kamath from Changemakers of Kanakpura Road Association. And I would like to share one tender condition which says that every project work which starts, there should be a name board, start date, end date, contractor's number, contractor detail, engineer's number also on that. That is not being put because there is no transparency. Everyone wants to hide their job. That's one. Second thing is regarding transparency. Today, Bangalore South Commissioner, GBA has been divided into 5 zones and I'm one of the members where I meet the commissioner on monthly basis. So commissioner walks down with us through the areas. So transparency is coming, but it has to change. Previously, 8 bees were stinging Bangalore. 8 bees. I always say, Rajiv Gowda knows it, Professor knows it. 8 bees are stinging Bangalore. All the 8 bees. Every department starts with bee. They sting each other. Today,
that's a good one.
No, that's a thing which I raised 2.5 years back. So today, if you look at it, the commissioners is responsible for the whole area where all the departments are supposed to depute their people. No meetings have happened. And do we have members in the GBA today from 198 watt to 368? Where are the support team? Executive engineer says today thousands of complaints are coming. We are simply closing it.
Staffing
is no resources.
Yeah, it's a 90% vacancy in AWs. Yeah.
No, without the resources, what are we talking about? So first thing should be recruit people.
Yes. No, I think some of these are important campaign ideas as well. I would request somebody from, in case Meera, your team is there or Janaagraha team to take Mr. Kamath on video on the stinging of the bees. I think it's a terrific articulation of the state in Bangalore. So that's fantastic. Yeah, I can see, I know Pawan also wanted to come. So the youngish voice.
Yeah, hi, my name is Rishi. I want to ask a question using radical transparency.
Are you from BNP?
I am, yes.
Okay, so we were hoping to have one of you in the panel, but I think Srikanth was traveling, so.
Right. Yeah. My question to the ex-councillors is in the new GBA app, when a councillor, if and when a councillor gets elected, I have to say if because Supreme Court orders ensuring elections is like UN's power maintaining world peace in some sense. If and when the elections happen, will a new corporator have more decentralized power to create change than a corporator in the BBMP?
The answer is no.
And why? The data says that, for example, in Ward 33, where Abdul Wajid sir was the corporator, in his previous term, 125 crore worth of projects were approved. 74 crore of projects were executed. Today, the ward level allocation for a ward under the GBA is 2.25 crore for ward works. I'm making a like-to-like comparison.
No, it's not like to like. Rishi, it's not like to like.
So there are city level projects in addition to this, sir.
If I can just rebut you, the 2 crores that you're referring to is genuinely a ward level allocation, which is meant to be decided by the ward level authority. Of course, right now there's no councillor. Earlier it was called program of works, where originally they gave 1 crore for inner wards, 2 crores for outer wards, etc. The 124 and 74 is not that. That's an accumulation of all works in that ward. It's not like to like.
This 125 does not include the city level projects which were done. So it in fact only includes...
It may, but it's not part of what was originally the program of works, which is left to the discretion of the councillor or now the ward level engineer.
Got it.
So it's not like to like, but you should raise the question.
Got it. So correction taken. So the question is that if you look at the scale, even if you say that the wards have halved, the discretionary spending that a councillor has is almost 10 or 20% of what it was before.
That is true.
So how can we say that the GBA, which was created to ensure decentralized governance, how is it actually doing it? Because it's like there was a bus before. You say that bus has too many people, let me make 5 cars. But you put the same engine and move it from the bus to the car. And now you say the car driver can't drive in a way he wants. So that was the point I wanted to make.
Yeah. It's a great, we can have a longer discussion offline on that. I'm just trying to focus back on the transparency and participation piece, Rishi. But good to have a young political voice. So he's from Bangalore Navanirmana Party. Yes, Pawan. Huh?
The new cricketer, 15 years old yesterday.
Oh, he's the Surya. Okay. So Wajid ji is saying he's the Suryavanshi of Bangalore politics. Pawan.
Hi, I'm Pawan. I work with Well Labs. We work on water in Bangalore and beyond. My limited intervention is this. 1 in 5 people in Karnataka stay in Bangalore, right? About 14 million people. The state spends 4.6 lakh crores in its current budget. If you take the same proportion also, overall we should be spending about 90,000 to 100,000 crores for Bangalore. I would be shocked if we are spending half that number. And then we worry about why we have so many problems, right? So I think if we try to start bringing this transparency, I think we shed light on how criminally we underspend on what is supposed to be this engine of growth for Bangalore and so on. And I'm hoping that transparency gets us to having the right questions on how much should the state invest in a city like Bangalore.
It's a fantastic point, Pawan. I want to say two things in response. Please do read the report that was kept on your chair. As per 2021-22, the latest year for which substantial data was available, the total spend in Bangalore was 38,000 crores. But it excludes certain agencies which spend on Bangalore simply because they do not tag the expenditure based on place. If I'm a state level parastatal, I don't attribute my expenditure to Bangalore, which I spend in Bangalore. So that could be understated. Everybody put together. Yeah, it's a total public expenditure. So your point is valid, absolutely valid. I think thanks for making it. And you know what? Some of the contractors are also saying that the schedule of rates for urban and rural continue to almost mirror each other. There's very little variance. So the inflationary cost of infrastructure in Bangalore, labor, etc., is also significantly higher, which means it cannot just be proportionate. It may have to be more than proportionate as well. So thanks for bringing that point. Yes. Sorry, Sandhya, yes? You want me to? Time, yeah. Oh, it's already 1 o'clock. How much more time can I go over? Last question, is it? Okay, so Alisha, come on here. You're part of the Jana family, so I think I'll give it to Mr. Rao. You already had your say. No, can we take that offline, Mr. Rao? Because I just want to give some. Is there any other young voice, lady voice, anybody who's not spoken until now? Madam, you normally participate quite actively. Anybody who's not spoken today, has not come to the Bangalore debates before? Okay, Sandhya, you pick.
Can I ask a question?
Oh, of course, please.
Okay, to close this out, I know a lot of the discussion today has been about if radical transparency can change things. I wanted to ask what use is transparency when oversight structures and institutions like law and journalists are completely disempowered in the city and the state?
In the city and the state. Very, very complex question. I don't know. Meera, do you want to take a shot at it?
I think it's part of the same system.
We also have YouTube live, so.
Okay. No, I think it's just part of it's about creating a level playing field for everybody. Not just, one of the reasons for corruption is this asymmetry in information, right? Whether you're within the system, which part of the system you're part of, whether you're a citizen or whether you're a journalist, a regular journalist versus somebody closer to the corridor of the power, all that makes a difference, which shouldn't be the case.
So do you want to round that up? Therefore, what is it that you're saying? With respect, her question was, is this a higher level issue of law, people in the legal profession, journalists being disempowered in the city? Or is that something not to do with the city, but more at a...
I think this is both socially, culturally, this has become the norm across cities as a country as well. So in fact, we are also seeming to introduce more and more laws and policy to curb whether it's freedom of expression or access to information for everybody across.
But do you see that as a concern in Bangalore, freedom of speech of expression? Because some bureaucrats and politicians feel it's the other way around in Bangalore.
No, I don't think Bangalore is specifically different that way. We have a fairly loud voice, even citizen voice gets amplified on social media and all that. The question is how effective is this, are these vocal voices? So it just becomes beyond a point if people are just asking, it just becomes, it's not translated into action.
Political action. Again, before we close out, thank you so much for being so patient. I know many of the questions couldn't get taken. We are also always scared to extend the timeline of these two by another half hour. We just think it becomes too boring if it's 2.5 hours. In fact, originally, there were a lot of people who said 2 hours itself is too long. Thank you so much for your indulgence and patience. Happy to take some offline conversations. If any of you is willing to stay back for some time or even as they walk out, feel free to speak to them. We are going to be available for a little while longer. Thank you so much for your patience and indulgence. The idea really is to build greater trust amongst us and between us and the politicians and the bureaucrats. But one thing is clear, that the status quo has become insufferable. And I think we also are finding that we no longer can take solace in the fact that Bangalore is India's most civically active city, because it appears that this is not enough. Therefore, we probably need to amplify this by 10x and have greater degrees of transparency and participation, which came out very strongly today that transparency is not enough. The other side to clap is participation. Therefore, some of us, at least Meera and I and few others, Katyayani, Nitin, Satish and others, some of us will continuously come together and try and federate now to see how we can do this in a slightly larger way.
Yeah, and I think it's a good opportunity to also invite people to really think to what else can be done differently. I mean, I think many of you have been active in the civic space in the last 5, 10, 15 years. But now at this current point, given the state of GBA/state government approaches versus what we as communities need and the state of the city, what else can be done differently? So I think it'd be interesting to find, like, in whether in terms of are there legal policy changes versus citizen action versus bringing in technology. I think those ideas would be welcome, and we can continue to stay
So that's an
engaged on
open
this
invitation from Meera and +1 from me to keep sending in your ideas. We can socialize that within a larger group and take that up. A special thanks, Meera. Thank you to you. A special thanks to Abdul Wajid ji and Mr. Padmanabh Reddy for being so candid about each other's parties, their own political parties, but standing in one voice with the residents of the city towards strengthening local governments in the city. Thank you, Professor Gowda, for coming as well. Just taking this opportunity to thank elected representatives in some ways. And thank you to Sandhya and the entire team at BIC for being such gracious hosts. And thank you to each one of you for sparing your valuable time here. Thank you. Thank you, Wajid. Let's work together to see how world out there.
Janaagraha is